Welcome everybody tonight, and we'll get started with the Committee of the Whole for April 2nd, 2019. The council should have received the minutes from the March 19th Committee of the Whole. Are there any additions or corrections? If not, do I have a move for approval?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes carry. Tonight we have a couple of appointments to the Historic Preservation Commission. This is one of our commissions that the mayor makes the nomination and the council approves. So tonight we have two different people who have served either partial terms or one single term, and then we've got a couple who have applied, and then we have a couple of new applications. So we have 4 applications total. The first person I would like to offer to the City Council is Miss Mabon Beard. She has served on the City Council, on the Historic Preservation Committee for 1 term. She is seeking a 2nd term. Do I have a motion or any questions?
Move for approval.
Okay.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second for Ms. Beard. Any other questions? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And so we'll appoint Ms. Beard later on in the agenda. And then also, the second appointment I'd like to offer tonight, second nomination is Mr. Christian Dagg. Christian filled an unexpired term last year. He's only served 1 year. He works in the architecture department at Auburn University, and he is seeking for his first full term. So I would like to nominate Mr. Christian Dagg.
For approval.
Okay.
Second.
All right, motion second. Any other questions or comments? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And then we will approve Mr. Dagg later on in the agenda. Library Board, Ms. Whitten.
Yes, we have 2 vacancies. Term begins April 15th, 2019, ending 2023. We do have 16 applications that we received late in the week, and I would like to ask this council if they would have any objections to postponing these 2 appointments into the 2nd meeting of April, just to allow additional time to properly vet those 16 applicants.
Any questions, concerns from council? Okay. What do we need to do? Jim, do we need a motion and a second for that?
No, we can just have them on the agenda for the next Committee of the Whole.
Okay, so no official action needs to be taken. So is the council okay with that? Is everybody all right? All right, so we'll move the library board appointments to the 2nd meeting in April, which is on the 16th. Okay, questions on the agenda for the city manager?
Mayor, we do have 1 item of other business. Given recent events with the Auburn University basketball team, we would like to recommend that on Saturday, April 6th from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. and also on Monday, April 8th from 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. That we designate those 2 dates and times as a special community event and have those dates and times as entertainment districts downtown.
Entertainment district downtown, okay.
Also, we would like to ask the council to consider, it's a Auburn Downtown Merchants Association fundraiser event for the Lee County tornado victims on the Come Home to the Corner. That would be Friday, April 12th from 12 p.m. to 10 p.m. That would be designated as a entertainment event. And finally, assuming or not assuming, knowing that the basketball team is going to go to the championship, we want to have April 8th, 2019, free parking downtown. And so that will be on as other business. That will be and that's what's in front of you on the dais.
Okay. All right, any questions for the city manager on that? That's a nice curveball to throw to us tonight. We're grateful for that. Any questions from the council on that? Okay. Any other questions for the city manager regarding the agenda tonight? No? If not, do we have a move to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the committee of the whole is adjourned, and we will get started in about 3 minutes, okay? All right. We'll go ahead and get started with tonight's City Council meeting for April 2nd, 2019. Lindsay, roll call.
Dustin.
Here.
Dixon.
Here.
Griswold.
Here.
Kirby.
Here.
Carson.
Here.
Smith.
Present.
Miller.
Here.
Litton.
Here.
Here. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. So at this time, we have a number of presentations to make to some great members of our city staff and some other outstanding people in our community. Okay, we're on. The first couple of these will be service awards to members of our city staff. 5 years, Public Safety Department Police, Brad Henderson. So much, Brad. Thank you. Thank you so much. From the Environmental Services Department, Michelle Altman, 5 years. Thank you so much. Thank you. Congratulations. We appreciate it. From the Public Safety Department, Police, Dustin Holt, 10 years. Okay. Also from Public Safety Police, 10 years, Brian Lipe. From Parks and Recreation, 10 years, Joseph Lockhart. Oh, Manson. Thank you, man. Appreciate your good work. All right, and from Public Safety Department, Police, 20 years, Willie Sanford. Appreciate it. Thank you, good work. Hold on, Willie. I'm still learning. We got a nice plaque for you. Oh. That means you got to take another picture. I'm sorry. Oh. And tonight we recognize a retiring employee from our library, 18 years, Michael DeVore. Okay, if I'd have Miss Caroline Willoughby please come forward, please. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
You going to Minnesota?
I'm not.
Okay, all right. I bet you wish you were going to Minnesota.
I do.
Okay. Caroline has done an outstanding job being our, she has brought the words and the activities of the Auburn University students to our city council meetings each and every other Tuesday, and she's done it with great enthusiasm and effort, and it's obvious that you've been very caring about what you're doing. So here's a proclamation from the city, a resolution from the city thanking you. So whereas the city of Auburn and Auburn University have enjoyed a long-standing partnership for more than a century and a half, mutually benefiting from one another's successes. And whereas the Auburn University Student Government Association has appointed a director of city relations as part of its cabinet to serve as a liaison between Auburn University and the city of Auburn. And whereas Caroline Willoughby has done an outstanding job during her term as director of city relations, attending city council meetings, providing a point of contact for joint events between the city and the student body, and serving as the voice of the Auburn University student body in the Auburn city government. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Auburn, Alabama, that the City Council expresses its sincere appreciation to Caroline Willoughby for her dedicated service. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be spread upon the minutes of this meeting and presented to Caroline as a keepsake, adopted and approved by the City Council of Auburn, Alabama, this second day of April 2019. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
All right, there you go. We thank you very much, Caroline.
Thank you
Congratulations.
so much.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Okay, if I'd like to ask the members of our Auburn High School girls varsity basketball team to please come forward. Line up across there in front of we can do that. Let me get over here. Okay, we have a resolution honoring y'all. Congratulations on a great season. We're so proud of you. And what a wonderful year, getting to the Final Four for the first time in school history. So your community's proud of you, and we want to honor you here tonight. So whereas the City Council is pleased to honor the Auburn City Schools, its faculty, staff, and students for their excellent achievements and contributions both inside and outside the classroom. And whereas the 2018-19 Auburn High School girls varsity basketball team recently completed an extraordinary season, including a 24-5 record. The area championship went undefeated at home and only lost one regular season game to an in-state opponent. And whereas the team competed in postseason play and made their first ever Final Four appearance in girls basketball school history. That seems to be common nowadays around here. Whereas the Lady Tigers, Jada Askew, Shania Holly, Olivia Porter made all area. Shania Holly and Olivia Porter made all region. And Olivia Porter made first team and second team all state. Whereas the team demonstrated their superior athleticism and discipline throughout the season, and whereas the Auburn High School girls varsity basketball team consists of team members, and as I read your name, please kind of raise your hand so everybody in the audience can see you. With Derek Randolph, Shania Holly, Olivia Porter, Jada Askew, Anna Louise Wages, Kennedy Fettner, Casey Core, Sarah Strohmeyer, Mylan Garner, Delea Scaife, Coral Hanich, Damara Williams, Sydney Garner, Haley Motz, and Raven Atkinson. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Auburn, Alabama, that the council hereby recognizes and formally congratulates the coaches and players for the 2018-19 Auburn High School girls varsity basketball team for their outstanding achievements and their exemplary efforts in representing the Auburn City Schools and the City of Auburn. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be spread upon the minutes of this meeting and presented to head coach Courtney Pritchett, assistant coach Allison Link, JV coach Tim Meeks, and their entire team, adopted and approved by the City Council of Auburn this second day of April 2019. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
In the second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Congratulations, ladies. We're very, very proud of y'all.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. One more.
Y'all please stay up here just for a second. With the responsibility, with the victories come the responsibility, and Coach, we'd like for you to say a few things about your ladies.
It's kind of on the spot. Definitely thank you and everybody for your support throughout the year. This is my first year in Auburn schools, and it's been an amazing year for me and my family. Definitely want to thank the superintendent for her support. She's been there yelling behind me at every game. It's like, Coach, you need to call that play. So, I appreciate your support. I really do. I appreciate everything you've done. Thank you so much, City Council. Thank you, Mayor, for the video of us going to the Final Four. It's all been so amazing. So thank you all for the support. We really appreciate it, and go Tigers.
Tigers.
There you go. Thank y'all so much. Congratulations. Good job, ladies. Thank y'all.
He always has a suit on.
Okay, during the committee of the whole, we went through a couple of things. We appointed a couple of folks to the Historic Preservation Committee that we will be affirming here in just a little while. We also decided to wait 2 weeks to make their appointments to the Library Board, which we'll do on the 16th of this month. And then we had some additions to our agenda tonight that we'll be considering at the end under new business. As far as other mayor's communications, I did want to ask the city manager to give the community a little more information. I know this weekend is Household Hazardous Waste Saturday, where we can get rid of things that we don't know what to do with. And Jim, I know Tim's not here tonight, if you could just make a few comments on that.
So it is on April 6th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. It is for Auburn residents only. Proof of residency, like a water bill or something like that, is required. You can recycle up to 20 pounds of hazardous waste. Also, this is a time if you have documents that you want to get shredded securely, there'll be a document shredding company on site that you can get those shredded. The whole list of what we take during Hazardous Waste Day is on the website. It's a long list. And so if you just go to the website, there is at the very front page, there is a press release about this. Just click on that and click on that link, and that'll give you a list of all the things we do accept.
Good, thank you. And also this Saturday is the beginning of the big book sale at the library, and I didn't know if we could make a comment about that.
We can have Chris Warren, who is our director of the library, give us a few comments about that.
Thank you, Jim. Is it on? Okay, there it is. Yes, it is on. This weekend is the Friends of the Auburn Public Library's Big Book Sale. It'll begin this Saturday from 9 to 5, and then Sunday from 2 to 6, and then Monday from 9 to 1. It's the Friends of the Auburn Public Library are a volunteer-run 501c3 that helps support the library through these book sales and also through an annual campaign we do. But it's a really great deal on gently used books, and all of the proceeds go to support all the great programs and activities that we have at the library. The Monday of the book sale, we're also doing an open house for National Library Week. So it's a real good opportunity for folks to come by the library, maybe get a tour of our facilities and celebrate some of the great stuff that we do. We will have some breakfast refreshments at that event, and we'll also have some staff providing tours of our facilities.
Thank you, Chris. We appreciate it. Finally, I just wanted to say thank you to Public Safety and Public Works. We've had some very impromptu, unplanned celebrations downtown over the last couple of weeks, and I was personally able to go to the one on Sunday, and it was a very joyous occasion that was very well managed, and it was very safe. And I just think the hard work of our staff here at Auburn to allow the community to have those celebrations and to clean up our mess afterwards. So thank you for that. Anyone else on the City Council like to have an announcement tonight?
I I have an announcement, but I'm a little sick right now. So, so if you don't mind, Ron, can you announce about the meeting tomorrow night? Announce the meeting tomorrow night.
I can do that. We are having, with the Diversity Inclusion Task Force, we are having a meeting tomorrow, 5:30. I'm trying to remember all the details. 5:30.
Harris Center.
Harris Center. And Dr. Clayton will be speaking and giving a presentation on that. Dr. Clayton is one of the, I think she's the director of the Diversity Inclusion board at the university, so it will be, she has a lot of information to tell us, and I think it'll be very, very fruitful for the task force.
Yeah. Thank you, Connie. Thank you, Stephen. Anyone else on the council have anything they'd like to?
What time?
5:30.
5:30.
5:30. Anyone else?
Mayor, a quick update on the short-term task force, rental task force. If you'll remember, we had a public hearing back in December and on the original ordinance that was produced from planning prior to us taking office. The planning department has made some revisions and some modifications to that proposed ordinance, and we're going through the same process again. That ordinance is now published on the city website, along with an overlay map for the citizens of Auburn to review and provide comment again. That'll be up for 30 days, and we're looking to have another public hearing likely at the middle of May, I believe, is when we'll have another hearing on that. And so just, I would invite those interested, those of our citizens, to provide commentary. Last time we had about 45 pages worth of comments, and hopefully we'll get the same so that we can produce a very vetted and thorough product.
Good. Thank you. Thank you.
If I may also add to the short-term rental information, I've neglected to let everybody know that we have appointed a citizen to this task force, Mr. Bruno Ulrich, who's seated over there. Thank you, Bruno. Bruno's done some great research work on some comparative analysis of other cities' ordinances as it pertains to short-term rentals, and he's provided us with some pretty concise documents listing the highs and lows and different various provisions that other cities have adopted. I believe the city staff have done something similar. We look forward to having a look at that abbreviated document of your own research, and I welcome Bruno to the task force, and I expect that going forward we will include other citizens as well.
Anybody else? Yes, go.
I'd like to remind folks we have a ward meeting a week from yesterday, so that'll be the 9th of the month at 6 p.m. at the Harris Center. And our invited guest is Kevin Cowper, who is maybe one of your last opportunities to engage with Kevin since he's going to be leaving us soon. But he's committed to come and talk to us about various intersections and the traffic difficulties within Ward 2. So I look forward to seeing you there, and it's open to anyone from any ward that would like to learn. Thank you.
Okay.
I also want to thank Becky Richardson and Dan Ballard for coming out last night to my community award meeting and doing a presentation on some upgrades in Northwest Auburn parks. And they did an outstanding job. I know they was bombarded with a lot of questions and stuff, but they handled themselves real well and very, very professional. So I just want to thank them again for coming out last night and spending the time that they did.
Johnny?
And Mayor, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention on April 9th at 5:30 to 6:30 and on April 10th at 11:30 to 12:30, I'm going to be hosting a meet and greet at the Sparkman community to get to know that community up there and to speak on important issues facing that area. So we're going to have a evening meeting for those that work during the day, and then we'll have one at lunchtime for those that would like to come during the day on the next day. So.
Okay. All right, good. Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, on the Friday work session that we had last week, we asked if City Manager Dustin could provide us with a report on Officer Sanders, how he's doing at this point, and if there's any information that is the public you could share with the public?
Officer Sanders is continuing to recover. As you might imagine, his wounds were serious, so there are still several operations in his future. But he is recovering. He is doing well. He no longer has to use a walker to get around. So we are very happy with the progress he's making.
Good. Thank you, Bob. All right, anyone else? Okay, this time we'll move to Auburn University Communications.
Good evening, Council. So it was a wonderful weekend to be an Auburn Tiger. War Eagle to that. Tomorrow afternoon, we will be doing a reverse Tiger walk outside the Auburn Arena by the Charles Barkley statue to send off the Auburn basketball team for their game on Saturday. Excuse me. Next week is a Creed Week, where each day of the week will be dedicated to a line of the Auburn Creed to celebrate all that is Auburn and to remind us as Auburn men and women what we stand for and our ideals. And last week, we finally turned over the cabinet position, so I'm pleased to introduce you all to, first of all, our new Executive Vice President of Outreach, which is Ashley Satterfield, our Assistant Vice President of External Affairs, which is Whit Watts, and most importantly to me, our new Director of City Relations and Assistant Director of City Relations, Jack Renfro and Mary Kate Hillis. Jack Renfro will do what I do now and stand before you and be the main point of communication between Auburn students and the City Council, whereas Mary Kate will work closely with the city to make sure that all events incorporate the university and the university incorporates the city. So I'm excited for you guys. It's going to be a wonderful year, and thank you so much again.
Thank you, Caroline. Thank you for your hard work, and we look forward to working with the people who have taken your place. I guess it takes two to replace you, right?
So, well, I had 3 this year, but we'll do great.
Well, all the best to you in the future, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, at this point in time, we're going to go into citizens' communications on agenda items, and this would be comments of anything on the agenda tonight. You'll have 5 minutes, and please give your name and address for the record. I do want to clarify something. Later on in the agenda, we have under ordinances the ADDU ordinance, and we will have a public hearing for that. So if you're here to speak on that, you'll be allowed to at the public hearing for that. So you don't have to use this time to do that. Okay? So citizens' communications on the agenda items, 5 minutes. Please give your name and address for the record. Anybody like to come forward?
My name's Adam Brooch, 131 Cone Street. I've noticed on your agenda there's a purchase of P25 portable and mobile radio equipment of $1,251,543.68. That is to go with Montgomery Metro Communications District. Just to give you council members a little bit of education on that radio system type. I'm a former dispatcher from Opelika Police Department. Opelika has been on the 800 megahertz trunk system for a long time. When Chief Dawson was there, they were on that system. They have moved to the Alabama First Responders Network. Their coverage area has doubled. With Montgomery's system, they are on P25 Phase 1. The Alabama First Responders Network is P25 Phase 2, which is TDMA technology, which means one channel can have 2 separate conversations on that same channel independently. Also, with this statewide Alabama First Responders Network, once it's completed, it'll be completed in a few years according to the last update that Commission give. Officer or firefighter can stand in Auburn, Alabama, turn his radio and talk to a police officer or firefighter in Mobile County or Gulf Shores or UAB. Right now, the helicopters are able to talk to their dispatchers from UAB to their dispatchers in Montgomery on that Alabama First Responder system. With Montgomery Metro Communications, they're still on that Phase 1 system. They're forwards and backwards compatible. You would still be able to talk to each other, but you are not on the same technology. Each county has already been allotted in the First Responders Network channels. Lee County Sheriff's Office, for instance, already has their own talk group. Opelika has their own talk group for Opelika, for instance, police, fire, services. Now, I'm not sure what cost the city would incur past build out. I understand that Montgomery is going to pay for the cost of bringing part of the system in. But it's something to think about when you're spending $1.1 million on communications equipment. Looking forward, P25 Phase 2 is also 6.25 kilohertz compatible. There was talk with the FCC about mandating all communications going to that standard also, but they nixed that in the public safety, the 700-800 megahertz band. But it still talks on the table. If the FCC decides that the bandwidth spectrum has narrowed so much, there's only so many channels out there. If they decide that in 5 years we're going to mandate that every new frequency where everybody has to reband or narrow band again, several years ago, your VHF system had to go to narrow band. Everybody in the state, the country had to go to narrow band. If you use a P25 Phase 1 system, it operates on 12.5 kilohertz. It's not compatible with 6.25, where Phase 2 is already at 6.25. It uses time digital modulation. Like I said, one channel can have 2 conversations simultaneously. Phase 1 does not do that. That's a totally different technology. They can still talk to each other, but Phase 2 has, like I said, that statewide capability. Your 911 board, the Lee County 911 board can assist you with that. I know the Macon County 911 board bought all of their equipment when they get ready to implement it and install it. It's already bought and paid for by the 911 board. So that's something that you could talk to the Lee County 911 board about paying for that, because Lee County Sheriff's Office already has their system in place when they're ready to go to it. Opelika is already on it. They're already using it, have been using it for years. So Auburn would be the only agency in Lee County not on the First Responder Network.
Thank you. Mr. Buston, could you or Mr. James respond to that?
I'll start and I'll let Bill.
That's fine.
And we thoroughly vetted the different technologies. The technology that the gentleman speaks of just doesn't work for us. As Councilman Dawson can probably tell you, that it doesn't have the type of penetration we need, that we want. There's in radio systems, especially first responder radio systems, it's important that those, not only does it work outside, but that it works inside. And I'll let Mr. James tell you some of the more technical details of it.
I'll qualify this by saying I am not an electronics and radio expert. We have personnel in police and fire both that have looked at this, have talked about a P25 7 to 800 megahertz radio systems that is encrypted, is more secure. Is my understanding FirstNet is not fully vetted yet, and I think the gentleman said to that effect that it's not. Lee County, as my understanding, is still on VHF and UHF radio. Opelika is on a Motorola 800 megahertz system that is twice the cost of what this Harris system is. Their upgrades are, Motorola is a very expensive technology. One reason we did elect not to go with this. Yes, Montgomery Metro Communications approached us about moving their service area into Lee County. They're also looking at putting a site up in Macon County. They are putting the infrastructure on our tower here to enable us to then tie into their system. Again, the the experts that we have on staff that knows a lot more about this technology than I do says this is what we want to go forward in the future. This is a public safety type network, this 700 and 800 megahertz systems that is for public safety to be able to have interoperability with other agencies. Phoenix City, Russell County are both on a P25 system. We feel like this is what we should go to. Some of the technologies that are in this technology, GPS, Wi-Fi. In some of the buildings, we cannot get out on current radio system. Once you're in the building, you cannot get out. These radios will connect to a Wi-Fi network that enables the person inside the building to reach out. Like I said, the encryption that's in there, it's just, we feel like the research that we've done, because Montgomery approached us nearly a year ago about this, and we've been talking about this for a year, about if this is where we wanted to go. It is expensive technology. It's not as expensive as other technologies there are out there, but it is a technology that most agencies are moving away from, the UHF and VHF radio type systems, and we feel like that this is the best for Auburn, especially considering that Montgomery Metro is willing to spend a significant amount of money putting their infrastructure here, giving us that equipment, and that we will maintain that equipment.
And it is significant that our staff tested the various technologies before they made a determination on which one they wanted. And we thoroughly tested the system that Opelika has, as well as this P25 system.
Okay. So this was a comprehensive decision within the staff that there was a number of people from different departments or different, I'm guessing fire and police were involved in weighing in on this as well?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Any questions from anybody on the dais for Jim regarding this before we move on?
Yeah, I'd like to, the version 2 that he's speaking of, I understand the technology that you're looking for is in this version 1. Is the version 2, are there any, is there a downside to getting a more up-to-date version that will not be obsolete as soon?
I cannot speak to that. I don't have that knowledge.
Do you know if the version 2 was considered when y'all was a viable alternative when you were coming to this conclusion?
Not me personally, no.
Those are things we can, and like Bill, I don't know the exact answer to that. However, just like in the 800 trunking system that Opelika has, they version it and it is upgradable. Now it is, you will pay for that. I think Opelika has upgraded maybe 3 times, as far as I know. And when it's a significant upgrade to the base equipment in the millions of dollars. So I could find out for sure, even if phase 2 is available yet. Is it actually out? I don't know. If it is, we can get you some information about why we are waiting to go to phase 2.
The new system, is it going to be, so I can understand this a little better, a lot of times you have an officer on walkie-talkie on South College Street down there by Cox Road or the Macon County line. You have trouble reading him. You have trouble reading him in some of the buildings around town when he's on the walkie-talkie. Is this going to solve that problem?
We think it will. Now, obviously, with any technology that you get out there, you're not going to have 100% coverage, 100% of your jurisdiction. But we feel like we're going to have as good or better than we have today.
That's my biggest concern is 2 things. Number 1, officer safety. Is it going to be that much better where we can actually hear the officer? Because there's nothing like wanting some help, not being able to get on the radio and get some help. So that's my concern there. And then I'm also concerned about, is this technology the latest so that it's going to be good 10 years from now? I hate for 10 years now, somebody else go to something different and we'll be behind the 8 ball.
Well, I will say this. It's my understanding that the 700 and 800 megahertz frequencies is the technology that is for the public safety networks, agencies to tie into that frequency. So that has been around for a while. I think Opelika went to that 10 years ago. Well, it's still there, and most agencies are going to that frequency. And this, it's my understanding, this FirstNet is a 7800 technology as well. But it's also my understanding that FirstNet's been trying to roll this thing out for years and has not fully rolled it out in the state of Alabama. So again, I'm not sure about the phase 2 on this, but I feel like that what we understand and what we have researched, and again, the employees that we have, they're a lot more knowledgeable on this than I am, because I'm not very knowledgeable on this technology. This is the radio system that we feel like is going to give us the service that we need for now and for a number of years in the future.
And we did test some of those areas that you know that are sketchy communication. We did test this technology in those areas, and we believe it'll be much better than our current technology.
All of them are expensive, but like I said, my biggest concern is safety. Officers, firefighters, officers, or whatever. But we did look at that, and we think it's going to be okay with that.
I do. Yes, and our officers did, like I said, check those areas where, with our current technology, we have trouble talking.
Were the officers happy with have you talked with the individual officers? Are they happy with the new system?
Well, obviously, we don't have it up yet. We had some radios where we did testing, that the officers did the testing. They were satisfied with, the coverage that they had in areas that were somewhat unreliable in the past. So again, everything that I have heard is that this is the technology they feel like they want to go to.
And the patrol officer on the street feels that way as well?
Well, I can't speak for that because I don't know if a patrol officer had one of the radios. I'm assuming that they used it in some of the mobile units and had it around just testing to make sure.
Would it create a problem for you, Bill, if we table this tonight for 2 weeks, or is this something urgent you got to have where we can maybe get some more information?
No, it's not urgent, no.
I would like to suggest we table it tonight and get some of our officers in here, or somebody that's talked with the officers. Bill could talk to them and find out if it's really what we need, and just make sure we're doing the right thing, spending that much money.
There is no problem in tabling it.
Okay, and so we'll do that in just a minute, Tommy. We'll pull it from the consent agenda, and then we'll take a motion on it. Okay. Any other questions from the council on this before we move in?
Let me ask real quick. What is our savings on this as a city with Montgomery being involved, Montgomery County being involved?
It's a considerable savings. Millions of dollars of savings.
Millions. Do we have a figure? I mean,
without looking at the current system that we're talking about, no.
And with that investment, would we be able to then, with that savings, can we then upgrade from that system if the city wanted to change systems in the future? Do you know that?
Well, as the chief said, once we get this system, this is our system for the future 10, 20 years until technology changes. The frequency pretty much have not been decided as to where it's going to go and from a federal level, but the 7,800 system seems to be where it is. So we'll be on that system. So,
thank you.
Okay. All right. Is there anyone else for citizen communications? Anyone? Okay. If not, we'll move forward to city manager's communications and the consent agenda.
Under city manager's communication, our first item of business this evening is the consent agenda. Does any council member wish to remove an item from the consent agenda to deal with this item individually?
Mr. Buston, I think we'll certainly want to remove E8, which is the item we just got through discussing. And I do believe I've heard from some council members they'd like to remove E7 and just discuss that. Anyone else?
I'd like to remove 8E1, please.
1.
Hang on.
We have 8E1, 8E7, and 8E8. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, anyone else?
And then, Jim, do we need to remove 8G2 as just a formality, since we don't have any appointments for the library board this evening? Do we need to just remove that from, or make a motion to table that item number?
Okay, yes. Yeah.
Okay, so if we can remove 8.
We won't remove it, but we
I
want
mean,
to
like,
make a motion to
from the consent
table
agenda? Okay.
to the next meeting.
Okay, so Jim, structurally, do we need to approve the consent agenda and then do that, or does Beth go
No,
ahead?
I
We
would,
need to go ahead
I
and
would make a
for that.
motion to table, remove the item and then table it. Yes. But,
Right, so if we remove 8G2, and then once we get to that, we can
Okay,
make a
all
motion.
right, so I'll second that. Any other questions on removing 8G2 from our agenda? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so that motion carries, so 8G2 has been removed from our agenda.
all right.
Do we need a motion to table it?
No, that's fine. We just
Okay,
removed it.
all right, just want to be proper here. All right, so the consent agenda, Mr. Bustle.
So, item 8E1 is Barge Design Solutions, is a conceptual design for Sam Harris Park and Westview Greenway project for a cost of $172,550.
Yes, I had a question on that. On the conceptual plan, concept plan 13 on page 10 of 12 in our packet, there's a sketch or a map type document, and it shows that item 1 on that map is the current location of the fire station on Shug Jordan Road. And in the legend, it says renovated building for soccer community center, pending relocated fire station. I haven't heard anything about a relocation of that fire station from anywhere. Can you elaborate on that, please?
You're talking about Fire Station 2.
It doesn't say what fire station number it is, but I think that's 2, right there on
I think
Shug Jordan.
Yes.
Fire
I'm
Station
talking
2.
about these various maps that are in the document.
Right. I will let Becky talk about this, but the concept plan was in there, or that was in there with the understanding that if there was a desire to move that station. Now, internally, we thought that it might be better. We originally started down on Pumphrey. There is a location down on Pumphrey where Fire Station number 2 used to be. With an agreement with the hospital, the ambulance service moved into there. We created the fire station up a little bit on Shug Jordan where Fire Station number 2 is. With the growth, in the future, we may want to move Fire Station 2 from where it is back down to that Pumphrey location. And that just, in that concept plan there, that design, that contemplates that possibility. But let Becky discuss that.
The concept plan drawing reflects the discussion with the consultants during the master planning process that at some point that fire station might be moved to another site. And so that concept just shows that that could be used as a possible small community center or some kind of support building for those fields that are there at the soccer fields. It's not saying that it's going to happen, it's just saying that that's a possible concept. All of those are concept plans that are subject to change as you get into your planning process.
Are these concept plans also in the Parks and Recreation Master Plan?
That is correct. That's where that came from.
And these particular designs will have public meetings, and they will be vetted by the public. Those designs will be shown to the public after the process is the process is ongoing.
Obviously, that fire station is critical to Board 1, 2, and 3.
Mm-hmm.
So any hint or discussions whatsoever of a fire station being relocated or moved or something like that, we need to bring to the forefront.
The phase of the park that's being done with the item on the agenda tonight is the trails and laying out the trails, and then the second phase would be the amenities such as fields, pavilions, and things like that. And the fire station would not be included in any of those phases.
Okay, that's great,
And
thank you.
we would not even consider moving a fire station unless we were adding another fire station, at which point it makes sense to then readjust them. But this, again, this was just a conceptual. We wanted, again, in all these plans, we want the consultants to understand the bigger picture so that they are aware of maybe some things that might happen in the future as they're designing their plans.
Okay, and I don't have a real issue with the item on the agenda, but when I saw this about moving a fire station, and caught me by surprise.
It's a good catch, Kelly. Good job.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so we need to go ahead and make a motion. All right, so do I have a motion to approve this contract?
So moves.
Second?
Second.
Any questions on that? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so that motion carries.
Item 8E7 authorizes a contract with Forever Lawns Southeast to purchase turf ground cover for the bocce ball court at Martin Luther King Park at a cost of $18,812.80. This cost is being reimbursed to us by the, and I don't remember their names, but it's a donation to us. I'm sorry.
Exceptional Foundation.
Exceptional Foundation, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's not the Exceptional Foundation. It's the Exceptional Outreach Organization. There's two different organizations, and the Exceptional Outreach Organization supports the city therapeutic programs.
Okay, thank you for that correction, Becky. Are there any questions? Okay, if not, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion carries.
Item 8E8 authorizes a contract with Hurricane Electronics to purchase P25 portable and mobile radios for the Public Safety Department at a cost of $1,251,543.68.
Make a motion, we table it to the next.
Second.
Second. Any questions? All those in favor of tabling to the next meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so that motion carries. So then, Jim, we need to do the consent agenda.
Yes.
Right? All right. So you have the balance of the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the balance of the consent agenda. Any other questions? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the motion carries.
Under ordinances this evening, we have item 9A as a request to amend Article 2, Article 4, and Article 5 of the City of Auburn zoning ordinance for the purpose of creating a new housing type designated as Academic Detached Dwelling Unit, ADDU. This item was tabled from the March 5th, 2019 regular City Council meeting.
Okay, so as I announced earlier, we're going to have a public hearing for this. I encourage all of you who want to speak to this, please give your name and address for the record. And we are open to the public hearing.
Elizabeth Hill. I live at 274 Bragg Avenue. There was concern that so I live very close to Canton and Fraser where this all began. And I think there is concern that that area is not continuing to be protected by this ordinance. So I'm just trying to figure out what I don't understand if I would like to see, and I think the majority of our neighborhood would like to see no more of these get built in our neighborhood. We have plenty of them already, and so I'm trying to understand from this whether or not that they will be continued to be allowed. If that, am I allowed to?
I can, the area in question that's being referenced is Zone Neighborhood Redevelopment District. The very initial proposal from the staff was that this use not be permitted. After some discussion and given the nature of that neighborhood and how it has transitioned relatively dramatically in a relatively quick time frame, the question then became, what type of compatibility issues may exist now that we have so much of this product in the neighborhood. At that point, it was suggested that the use be a conditional use. in the district. And so that was, we've had a couple of work sessions, and we've talked about a couple of issues that have been brought up since the Planning Commission first considered the proposal back in January. And there were essentially three, and you'll see those in your packets, where the staff reports have been adjusted to highlight those areas in red. One's a parking issue. One is the NRD issue, which originally it was recommended to not be permitted. Now it's being looked at as possibly being a conditional use. And then the third decision point was redevelopment district, where the staff recommended that it be a conditional use, and we got a lot of feedback, particularly from the development community, that it be a permitted use. And so those are specific, the three specific issues that would need to be considered, that would be separate and apart from and different than what the Planning Commission recommended.
Forrest, would you just explain to our guest here this evening what conditional means?
Sure. A conditional use.
Okay, all right.
Oh.
So my question is, if it gets passed tonight, does it put that neighborhood as a conditional use?
It would if the council calls that change out in their motion to approve the ordinance, should they see fit to move to approve the ordinance this evening.
As a resident?
Because it was not advertised as such.
As a resident of that neighborhood and speaking with my neighbors, I would strongly recommend to the council to not approve conditional use. Please don't do that.
Okay. Okay. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Lindbergh B. Jackson, 814 North College. I just want to echo what the young lady said earlier, that I would strongly recommend that you guys not consider that as a conditional use. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else?
Good evening, Nick Hayes, 333 Brookside. I think it's important to note that less than a year ago, the zoning in this area was changed from RDD, after it had been that way for considerable period of time, maybe even decades, to NRD, which carried with it the rules that NRD carries and allows for this type of development. And after notice was provided and the public had an opportunity to voice their concerns about that change from RDD to NRD, it was passed, assurances were made to the development community through that zoning of what you were going to be allowed to do. Again, less than 1 year ago. People then made investments, built product over there, and then now, in my opinion, in really a political stunt to try and appease concerned folks over there who have legitimate concerns about the change in their neighborhood. We're here revisiting it again, not because of an oversupply of beds, not because of any issue with student housing in that area, not because they're not renting, not because it's creating a negative impact on rents in the overall town, but because somebody who owns a property over there doesn't like it. Well, what about the 50 people who decided to sell? What about the people who are currently trying to sell and are unable to do it? Because the market for property over there has been decimated. If we're concerned about protecting the poor and the disenfranchised, how is making their most valuable asset worth less helping them? If we're really concerned about helping them, providing an opportunity in which the American dream can reach them and their property or their investment becomes worth more money than what they paid for it originally, how is denying them that opportunity to sell helping them? These properties are all full. They're full at top of the market rents. Quite frankly, they're nicer than the home I live in. The idea that they wouldn't transfer or transition, I should say, from student to a family rental, in my mind, doesn't add up. I would live in them. Again, they're nicer than the houses that I live in. And as it pertains to other areas like RDD, myself and others have made investments in that area based on what you, the city, said we were allowed to do in that area. And now, in an arbitrary and capricious manner, we're debating on whether to change that. Many, many people besides me have a lot at stake, and it's not right to just say, oh, well, you need to sacrifice. I'm not willing to sacrifice. I'm not going to give any money. I don't want to make my property more affordable for people to buy, but you ought to do it with your property. I think that's poor planning and poor government. Thank you.
My name is Bruno Ulrich. Excuse me. And I reside at 1518 Stewart Circle. I listened to the streaming over the weekend, and I read the ordinance, and I don't really have a problem with the ordinance itself, except for one thing. And that has to do with what I heard on 3 separate occasions outlining the changes to be made. For example, that the Planning Commission had recommended 1.1 parking space per bedroom, but the development community wanted 1.0. As you know, I've been in the development business for over 30 years, worked from Phoenix, Arizona to New Jersey, Chicago to Naples, hundreds of projects. And as you know, one of the projects I worked on and was in charge of was Tiger Town. In most every instance, we were told by the planning departments, by the planning commissions, by city councils, what the rules were. And the companies that I worked with, we said, okay, we understand. We'll make a decision whether we can abide by them or not abide by them. If we can't abide by them, we'll go elsewhere. On 3 separate occasions, I heard the development community wants, the development community wants, and the development community wants. And so we changed the regulations to be more permissive. I consciously cannot, that is not my philosophy, has not been the companies that I've worked with over the years. And I think that you need to take a hard look at what that statement really means. You're opening the doors to any developer, and I was a developer, so they can't criticize me for that. But we will also very much have to listen to the citizens of Auburn and what they need. There needs to be a balanced approach between development community and the residents. And I think we're going the other way towards the development if we haven't already crossed that line. Again, I was in the development community for over 30 years, working on far larger projects than anything in Auburn.
Anyone else?
Good evening. My name is Travis Wisdom. I'm at 1474 Turn Lake Drive, Auburn. Maybe this is something I misunderstood, so I'll ask Forrest. But are you saying, Forrest, that we're pulling back the proposed housing type for RDD?
No. What I was saying was that it was the staff recommendation, the recommendation the Planning Commission has forwarded along to the council is that it be a conditional use in RDD. And we've heard throughout our meetings with various stakeholders, which have been primarily developers of this product, if not exclusively, that they would like it to be permitted by right. The staff respectfully agrees to disagree that that's what it should be in RDD.
All right, well, then I do have something to say. I don't currently own any property in the Canton area, probably won't ever, but that's NRD. Is that correct, Forrest?
Yeah, that's right.
So really, I guess what I'm here to say is I find it strange that the city wants to, if there is a problem in Ms. Fitch Taylor's district, and I know Lindbergh says there's not anymore, we're too far gone, so maybe there's not a problem. But if there is one and we need to correct it in NRD, I don't see why we need to throw in RDD. I own a lot of property in RDD. I don't really plan on ever developing something that may be or maybe not classified as what Forrest is trying to now define. However, if I ever want to sell that property and a future buyer wants to build that, he needs to be permitted by right, because we don't need to correct a problem that doesn't exist in RDD. The problem, as defined by Ms. Fitch Taylor and others, exists right now in NRD. So I'd like for the council to maybe consider narrowly tailoring this so-called fix for whatever perceived problem there is, and I'm not saying there is one, to NRD, including all the property I own in RDD, and saying that if I ever want to develop my property in such a way that it could fall under this definition, that I have to go in front of the so-called czar of the city, and he tells me, yeah, this is the type that we defined, or no, this isn't the type that we defined. That seems a little draconian. The purpose of government is, of course, to create an equal balance between private and governmental interests, but overstepping and saying, well, we got a problem in NRD, so let's change it for a bunch of other zoning areas as well, seems like an overcorrection. So I'd like for you to all consider that. Secondly, the relevant data that's available to us is, at least what we've been talking about or what I've been hearing, is Canton and this area surrounding Canton, I guess in White Street and some other areas. I mean, that's a real small segment of our community. And to somehow say that our correction to fix a problem in this area needs to extend to the entire area encompassed by these zones seems, again, like a broad brush fix. And so I would implore each of you to really consider if what we need to do is paint this all with a broad brush, or maybe just fix one suggested problem by city staff. And respectfully, I agree to disagree with Forrest on that, but I hope you leave RDD alone. It's something that should be done by right in RDD. It's always done by right in RDD, and there's no reason to change or attempt to downzone by creating a new housing type to get around so-called downzoning. I mean,
Can I make just one comment, just so that we're all dealing with the same information? Every performance housing type except single-family detached is a conditional use in RDD. By virtue of defining this, the whole purpose of creating this ordinance was to define this housing type different than single-family. Every other housing type except for single-family detached is a conditional use. So to suggest that this is somehow inconsistent or arbitrary is absolutely false.
except that now it's defined as single family. So you're trying to take it out in certain instances.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess the answer to that for us is, I mean, I can't build as a father of three and a husband, I can't build a 5-bedroom, 5-bath house for my family?
That's not correct.
Okay. But you would decide whether I could?
I would interpret the ordinance as does every...
One man interprets the ordinance. One man.
The zoning ordinance, that's the case for every jurisdiction in the country. Someone has to interpret it.
Forrest,
Hold on.
Let me just finish what I'm saying.
One at a time, so I can keep up what's going on right now. Go ahead.
One person who's not subject to the ballot box, all due respect to Forrest, I think he does a fine job, but he may not be here one day, and then we've got a new person. But this one person gets to decide whether I'm building a 5-bedroom, 5-bath house for my purpose, or whether I've got an ulterior motive and I'm building it for a student house. I mean, that's not really what government does. You know, we don't really give power to one guy. Obviously, we wouldn't be here in this country.
There is an appeal process to any interpretation of the planning director, and that's the board of.
But why do I even need to go through that? I mean, this is America. I don't need to go appeal one czar's interpretation of what I want to do. Right now, the law gives me the freedom to build a single-family standalone house. Redefining it or to saying that how you use it, that's contrary to all the principles of law. It is arbitrary. It is capricious.
Hold on, as far as what do you say to that?
No, I just entirely disagree.
Sure.
The zoning ordinance has a number of different use types. We have a plethora of uses. Every time someone comes in, we don't identify every single use in the ordinance. That planning director inherently, and this is the case across the country, the zoning ordinance is subject to interpretation in many ways. Someone has to make those interpretations, and typically, and when I say typically, I mean universally, the planning director is the staff person designated to interpret and administer the zoning ordinance and the subdivision regulations on behalf of the city.
Well, why can't you do that now as the law is written?
I do it. Yeah. But right now, what I'm suggesting to you is that these are not single-family detached units. They're purposely built for students. They're resided in exclusively by students, and the floor plans are different and unique than a single-family traditional residence, and I've done enough research to know the difference.
Again,
if you want everything to be treated as a single family, then we ought not pass this ordinance tonight. And we'll just treat anything that's a single detached unit like a single family unit. And that's exactly the problem we have by not doing what's being recommended to be done tonight.
Well, respectfully, Forrest, you're able to determine, because of your vast research, that the number of bedrooms with ensuite bathrooms determines whether or not I'm going to use the home for students.
That's not the only criteria that's employed.
All right, well, what else? I mean, what is the relevant data that has led you to make a rational connection between the facts you've investigated and the choice you want this council to make?
My office has been right across this courtyard for 14 years. We've presented numerous presentations on the differences between these housing types. And I don't think this is the appropriate time and place to go through that and spend everyone's time in this room. I'm happy to meet with Travis anytime he'd like.
Of course, what other floor plans do y'all approve and look at on the week-to-week basis? Do y'all look at other floor plans and approve those? Do y'all have to?
We do. Yeah, we do. I mean, we look at
family, commercial, the whole
anything except for a single-family conventional residence goes through the planning department in addition to the codes department for review.
I mean, look, 20 years ago, you built a house, it might have a galley kitchen. Nowadays, people want huge kitchens. Are we to sit here and believe that if someone who builds a house with a galley kitchen or a big kitchen is now, you're not single family, because research tells us over the years that this is what single family is. I mean, it's freedom of choice, I guess is what I'm saying. And for us to decide, well, we don't want to allow this kind of structure because we think it's purpose-built for this use, when somebody may very well say, I'm not building it for that use. Well, we're just not going to allow you to do it. We're not going to allow you to build or use the property the way you want it, because we've decided, your government has decided what constitutes a single-family house, and you don't get that decision. That's just contrary to everything Auburn's ever stood for. Thank you for your time.
Anyone else?
Can I say something again?
Oh, just one second. We've got somebody else.
My name's Chris Birdsong, 814 Antelope. And I own property in both areas that we're discussing tonight. And when we started this, the parking was 2 off-the-street parking. And we consented, and we wanted to have off-the-street parking, so we allowed for 5 parking spaces, 1 per bedroom. And this is residential. This is not multifamily or shopping centers or big developments. This is single-family homes or homes that families can live in and students can live in. We don't discriminate either way. And we have the required amount of parking off the street. The problem that I have, and I spoke about it the last time, is that in the NRD area, if we make this conditional, or if we make this not available, if we have a disaster, a fire, tornado, whatever it might be, we cannot build those houses back. We've invested a lot of money to have those houses, and the way it reads now, we would have to go through conditional just to get the same structure built back, and we could be held up by anything. In the RDD, I'd like to see it stay the same, have permitted use, and then in the NRD, it can be conditional, but it doesn't need to be not allowed, is what I'm trying to say. And so I think that's a great compromise. For the city, we're talking about really 2 blocks, 1 block that seems to have thrown everything up in arms. The area that on the Canton, these were blighted houses when we started this thing, and if anyone has not ridden by there, I think it's a great improvement for the city of Auburn and for that neighborhood. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Anyone else that has not spoken yet? Excuse me just a second. If you have not spoken yet. Okay, yes, ma'am. Well,
All right, Elizabeth Hill, 274 Bragg. I would like to just point out that part of the reason that got us into this is not just this zoning regulation, but the fact that particularly in my neighborhood, against the wishes of the neighborhood, the Planning Commission and the City Council went and said that you could have up to 5 unrelated people living there. So if you had protected that neighborhood by saying that you can't have unrelated people, up to 5 unrelated people living there, then these would have never gotten built in the first place. So it's the combination of these ordinances that are kind of have put us into this situation to begin with. So I don't think it's, I don't know, I just wanted to point out that there were mistakes, in my opinion, there were mistakes made along the way in protecting this neighborhood that have now resulted in this. And I hope by saying that they cannot be permitted in the neighborhood any longer, you'll preserve what's left of it.
Excuse me, I know I've spoken once, but I also want to say, I heard Travis say we're just dealing with an isolated area of Canton. Well, you guys are going to be faced with the Cadino property, 814 North College, where it leads into the city. We're RDD. So what you guys make a decision on here tonight, it will not just affect Canton. 85% of the properties on Canton, you're right, it's gone. The mistakes have been made. The train has left the station, true enough. But we have a historic African-American community that's at stake. RDD, a large portion of Northwest Auburn is still zone RDD. Out on Richland Road, and the rear of, well, along College Street. My grandparents' house that we've been there over 100+ years along that strip is RDD. So I want you guys to think very hard when you make the decision tonight. If you turn that down, you're taking away a community. My point is gentrification is taking place. The train has left the station. People on Canton are upset, but the people in Northwest Auburn are even more upset. So I hope you guys will agree with Forrest tonight. Normally we don't, but I agree with him tonight.
Forrest, according to the map that was provided for us, the area in Northwest Auburn between Highway 14 and Donahue Drive and Shug Jordan, that area in there is ADDUs would be prohibited according to the information.
Yeah, that's right. What's been recommended is that in the NRD and in the RDD that it be conditional, but east of Donahue. That would remove the Housing Authority property, which obviously isn't of great concern to us, but the Corradino property, as you know, has been a fairly long-standing issue and property of concern based on its size and location. So that's why you do not see anything on your map
in northwest, when I say northwest Auburn, I'm talking west of North Donahue. And we did that because there's both RDD and there's also a patch of NRD that's in the Northwest Auburn neighborhood planning area.
Thank you, Forrest. I'm sorry to interrupt. We've got the wrong map up here. I think the intent was correct, but we've got the short-term rental map in front of us.
Yeah, we want the other one.
Okay, thank you, Forrest, for answering that question. I appreciate it. All right, is there anyone else who would like to speak in the public hearing? Yes, sir. You're good. Come on.
Mayor Anders, ladies and gentlemen of the council, Herbert Walter Denmark Jr., 412 Opelika Road, Apartment 111. I had an opportunity to be out of town a couple of weeks ago to an alumni weekend at a rival school in Athens, Georgia. And we had a chance to go to class. And one of the classes was on housing in rural areas and small towns. And of course, many here tonight consider Auburn a small town. And the professor, when asked a question about gentrification, she said it was a matter of displacement among the people that were affected. And there are many in Northwest Auburn that fear that this ordinance is going to lead to, directly or indirectly, to displacement. This is why I urge you to think very seriously tonight before you vote. And even on the question of the student housing as is named in the ordinance that's before you, you know about the student body at Auburn University because students at Auburn University are being impacted. You also know that 77% of the student body of Auburn is white. No, hate to say it, but it's true. So if this thing is approved, and if student housing is built in the area in question, or the areas in question, the chances are 77 out of 100 that a white person is going to move into the black neighborhoods in question in Northwest Auburn. Now, if you want to help improve race relations in Auburn, you need to think seriously about how this impacts relations between people in the city of Auburn. Whether it's black students or black people as a group, or white people as a group, or all of us together. This is serious stuff. And you're also dealing with a part of a very important part of Auburn history in voting on this. Northwest Auburn is a historic black neighborhood. And if you take that away, what do we have to say about part of our history that really hasn't been told in its full yet? So just in the area of preserving such history, I would urge you to think seriously about this. And I was in Athens, Georgia 2 weeks ago, and a lot of that black neighborhood is close to the campus. And they're having these same issues. In fact, you can just go along Broad Street. You can feel a little bit of the city of Athens just along Broad Street. And the black community takes up a lot of that Broad Street. So I urge you, for many purposes, to think about this and what impact that it has on the future of our community. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Felix Legassi, 2611 Wilmington Court. I guess I'm one of the contractors as well in Canton, Fraser, Grant, Talbot area. And like I said, it was zoned RDD, and it's been changed in the last year to NRD. And I guess what they considered academic dwelling units is what you have there now, I assume. Correct, Forrest? Is that what we have there in that area?
What you've built?
Yep, I've built. John Allen's built?
Yes. If we had the definition in place, that's what it would be. But right now, it's still a single-family detached house.
And what is the academic dwelling unit, just so I can understand? What is that? 5-bedroom, 5-bath? What is that?
It's what the definition says in the ordinance that it's being considered tonight. I can read it to you.
Yeah, if you don't mind.
Sure. freestanding structure completely separate from all other structures and intended to be used by no more than 5 residents of academic institutions. The typical unit configuration includes common space for living and cooking in private bedrooms, each with a dedicated bathroom. The typical unit is distinguished from a single-family detached dwelling unit in one or more ways, including but not limited to: it may not have a master bedroom, master bath. Bedrooms are typically smaller in floor area than they are in a single-family detached dwelling unit. Common spaces are typically smaller than those found in a single-family detached dwelling unit. Now, again, we've talked about this a lot, but we can talk about it some more. This definition is entirely based on, this definition is nothing more than the single lot, single unit variety of the private dormitory regulations that were developed and adopted in March of 2016 to help distinguish private dormitories, student living units, from any other type of multiple unit development, multiple family development. This is the same thing. It's the same approach, except this is distinguishing student living in single units from single-family detached dwelling units. That's exactly what this is.
Okay, so basically what I'm hearing is the master bath in the common area distinguishes the difference between a single family and maybe academic dwelling units? Or no? Yes or no? I'm asking.
And I'm going to ask you what I've asked you before, which is, I work right across the courtyard, and I have a plethora and a volume of material that I have offered repeatedly to sit down with people and walk them through this.
I'd love to do that.
Okay, well, I've asked you to do that before, and you don't seem to call me.
No, I'll call you for it. I have never been, I really want to understand it.
Then I'm happy to share it with you.
Because here's what I see over there. You have, in that area, we have 23 new homes in that area. If you want to call them academic dwelling units, and it was considered RDD, NRD, and the city let you put in academic dwelling units, I guess. It was I don't know, it was a misunderstanding, or I don't know what happened. But they let us do this, and now they're basically saying, okay, 90% of that area is student housing. Houses on Grant are student housing. Most areas on Fraser are student housing. Most of the houses on Canton are student housing. And most houses on the Talbot are student housing. So you got 90% of that is student housing. And now we're basically going to say, okay, you can't do that no more. I don't even understand why we're doing that. Why? I mean, you're telling you can't do it anymore?
That's not what the recommendation is. That area has changed so dramatically, so quickly, that from the time we started this proposal, we had recommended that it not be permitted. We have conceded that the character of that neighborhood has changed so dramatically that there may not be compatibility issues there anymore, but we would still like the opportunity to review them on a development or house-by-house basis, ADDU by ADDU basis, and the staff has conceded that, and the recommendation has changed as a result of that. So that's exactly what's happened.
Well, I just think what we need to look at that area and just think, is it an improvement? Has it gone downhill? Has it gone uphill? Has it helped the taxes? Has it helped the Auburn, as far as the University of the Auburn with all the students they have there? I think it's a good thing. I think people ought to go out there and look and see what's going on out there. And you need to look at what was there prior to us being there, because it was not in really good shape. And I hate it for Connie, and I wasn't trying to destroy anybody over there. By no means when I went over there, I just bought property. I didn't buy anybody's home. I think I bought 2 homes. One was from a white person, one was from a black person. And basically the rest of them were lots or condemned homes. And I think what we're doing is a good area. So the fact that we can go in there and we stop, we can't do this anymore, I think we need to look at that a little further before we decide, NRD, you can't do these, and we have 26 houses, academic dwelling units are 23, and now all of a sudden we can't do that anymore. So I'm just asking the staff just to look at that before we make a decision based on what you've heard tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How's it going?
Good.
All right. I'm Ken Pilot. I grew up at 2010 Cox Road. I currently reside at 1400 Annaloo Drive, I think. I don't know if there's anything that I can add. I mean, I've sat back and have heard this thing's been ongoing for a year. I think one thing just from kind of a bird's eye view is I think it's definitely a complicated problem. I think everybody in here up above me and behind me and to the right and everywhere in this room and outside this room is somehow affected by this. Whether it be that you live there, you've got an investment there, you're building them, you drive by them. This is something. I mean, we're all impacted by change. I think that it's complex. I've told the Planning Commission and some of the council members that honestly I feel for you, men and women. It's an extraordinarily complex issue, and I don't think there's a simple solution. And I think we all need to remember that. Somebody, there's not a solution that's going to make everybody happy. I've never known a solution that makes everybody happy to anything. But the realities involved is that, I don't know of anybody that I've talked to, and of course I don't know of anybody but that's, per se on my side of the fence as an investor, developer, landlord, that intentionally goes out and has malicious intent to do someone wrong. I don't. Especially including even in this area, specifically at Canton Avenue. Now, what I will tell you is some things to take in consideration. I think everybody's made great points from Ms. Hill to Mr. Lindbergh to Ms. Ulrich. Yeah, I'm awful at names. I believe that we personally should have everything monogrammed, to be honest. And the like-minded, perhaps people, developers like myself or investors or property owners, we all have some valid points here. But the kind of harsh reality is that change is inevitable, and it impacts us all in not necessarily positive ways, okay? But we collectively, as a whole, as a group or as an individual, purchased these properties. You could have purchased them. Ms. Fitch-Taylor, Mr. Griswold, Ms. Witten, Mr. Smith, Mr. Anders, Mr. Dixon, Mr. Parson, Mr. Hovey, Mr. Dawson, and everybody else in this room. Nothing prevented you, except for your own decision or your own financial situation. The reality is that these properties were sold and they were bought when they were RDD. Now in a year's time, and what Mr. Aldridge was saying is yeah, it sounds very impressive, his accolades, okay, about all the things that he's accomplished and things that he's done. However, when you buy something and when it changes, now this will be the third time from when properties were bought, it's not as easy as saying just yes. It's shape-shifting before we can get out of the ground. So that's the curveball here. So you put this in place, guess what? The market's gone cold. Got two people right now, two property owners, one on White, one on Canton, actually 3 property owners that want to sell their property. We won't buy it. It ices the market. Okay, it deflates it. That's what happens. So the difference is that we don't mind, and I say we, investors, when do you buy stocks? You buy low, sell high, right? When you make an investment, you make a wise investment. So what it's done is it's tempered the market, and there's people that want to sell but are being told, no, we're not interested in buying. But as developers, we're not. I know personally, I'm not trying to cheat anybody out of anything. I don't go to bed at night and plan my next day on how I can get over. I pay top dollar. I do. And if you don't think so, call me. I know what I do. But the reality is that we bought it RDD. We've suffered one downgrading already to NRD. And Forrest, correct me if I'm wrong, but NRD, the people in this area, what was the main thing that we lost? And I'm asking sincerely. I believe it to be is that we lost primarily the commercial opportunity. It went from conditional to, is that right? Don't let me get that wrong.
No, that's correct. That's accurate.
So do you guys understand that? So we've already suffered, and how long, Forrest? Do you know how long this was RDD prior? Just roughly.
I can say with relative certainty since 1984.
84. 1984, it's been RDD, and am I also to presume that also carries the same unrelated occupancy as 5 unrelated since 1984, or am I stretching? Can I go 3 for 3?
Yeah. Well, you're asking me questions you already know the answers to.
No. I'm making assumptions, but they're educated.
The NRD east of Donahue does allow up to 5 unrelated.
And
so the occupancy in this area we're speaking of, the occupancy allowance hasn't changed.
And
the zoning's changed, the occupancy allowance has not.
Fair enough. But the point that I'm trying to make is that the zoning prior to a year ago, so we'll say 2017, from 1984 to 2017 has been RDD and 5 unrelated. Is that correct? Okay.
I believe that's correct.
Thank you, Forrest. Now, if my math is correct, that's 33 years, right? 33 years. And I don't know this, but any growth in those 33 years? I'm not aware of any, but I don't, any permits? I know y'all could probably pull back and check records, but.
It's been actually 35 years.
Oh. But any growth when it was, it's been RDD for that long and there was no growth, right? No change? I don't think so. If there is any, there's none really to speak of.
Sounds sarcastic.
No, I don't mean it that way. I'm being serious. I'll tell you what, the only thing that I know of was when the mobile home park turned into 319 Bragg, and that's a little outside.
We don't have to ask questions. You go ahead and make your presentation to us and we can move forward.
Well, what I'm getting at, Mr. Hovey, is that if you think about it, we all need to take what the reality is at question. Have you been over there?
I have.
You have been over there. When, and relatively recently?
Make your point. I'm not going to engage. It's not a conversation.
I thought that's what this was for. The point I'm trying to make is that now we had it for 35 years. It's set stagnant. Buildings have fallen in on itself. We're literally evicting raccoons out of some of these houses, and then we want change, and then it happens. And it's not black. It's not about black and white. At least it isn't for me, and I don't know of anybody that it is for on the buying side. People sell their properties. It's in a zone that we have the opportunity to change and upgrade, and that's what we did. So that's my point. And I don't feel like I've done anything wrong. I really don't. I hadn't taken advantage of anybody. I've done everything legal. But what I would ask is that my rights are also respected. And my rights are that why do I have to stop doing what I'm doing? Can someone tell me that? Just think about it like that. You can't say yes and then no. I mean, what's fair? So I feel like that the planning, I mean, Forrest, I think that, you know, what you guys have presented, it is a step forward, at least for a compromise. And I appreciate that. But it hurts us too. It's not a complete win for the developers or the investors. There's some pain in that. Going from 2 to 5 parking, having it conditional instead of by right, getting downgraded from RDD down to NRD. I mean, that's my point. We also have rights as property owners. So do the people that own property that still want to sell. They also have rights. Who's going to cut them a check for their deflated value when this gets downgraded again and when this property can't be built there? Think about it. I appreciate it. Thanks. And for the record, Mr. Hovey and Mr. Cotton, I really don't, it's how I come across, it's how I talk. I do not mean any sarcasm. It's just a way of, hey, invoking thought. You listen to me at least. So I appreciate it.
As everyone else.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone else? All right, we'll close the public hearing. At this point in time, council, we do have an ordinance in front of us. Consider, there have also been mention of a number of amendments, or a number of changes, I should say, that have been, you see in the red on your ordinance here. If we would like to move forward any of those changes, they would have to be done from an amendment standpoint. But for right now, now's just some time for some general conversation and questions and comments from the council.
Well, I have some comments to make. You know, I'm sitting here listening back and forth to long conversations between the developers and my neighbors' property on Canton Avenue, Bragg, myself who has property on Williams Avenue. Now, I want everybody to understand, just about every developer that got up here said they don't live. They just developing there. Well, me and my neighbors live there. We had a community meeting with the neighbors. Now, the people who had sold, but the ones who's living there now don't want to sell. My job, these people that voted me in the office, I have to listen at my constituents. But part of that neighborhood is Ward 1. Fortunately, I live in Ward 1. I mean, part of that neighborhood is Ward 2. But fortunately, I live in Ward 1, but it's still, regardless of how it's separated by wards, it's still my neighborhood. I don't know of who's trying to sell right now, and I know that the property that has been built on now, yes, those lots was vacant. They was vacant a long time. I don't know which one of y'all said it. Well, yes, we had the right to buy those properties. I tried. My neighbor tried. And I don't know the person that sold I wanted to get the property directly behind me. My neighbor wanted to get the property directly behind her. And the guy who moved out of the neighborhood, he was trying to buy the property right, directly behind him. Because we wanted to extend our living. The guy would not sell to us. They're not here tonight to witness that. But if I need to bring them, they will tell you. All of us tried to buy property behind us. I tried on several occasions because the property was owned one time by one person, then somebody else bought it downtown. So I even went and visited that downtown merchant and was asking him about the property. He told me he was not going to sell the property. Okay? So it ain't like the property been sold 20 years ago. It's development. My concern at this point is I just want y'all to understand the people that's left there. There was an email of one neighbor. That neighbor does not have property, but her mother have property. And she had a concern because her mother's old now, but her mama got in front of the planning commission and said, and I was there, that she did not want to sell her property. Sometimes our kids may coerce us to do something because they're looking at the future. They just want to sell. The intention is not to stay there. They just want to sell. So they're looking for the biggest bang of money right now, because all you're going to do is take mama and move mama into the old assisted living home. And you're going to sell the property, and it's not fair to the mom. So I don't know what neighbor that has want to sell, because we had a neighborhood, like I said, we had a community meeting. Kelly was there. And the neighbors do not want to sell. Now, there were several points addressed tonight. When, on Fraser, for example, I don't see the improvement of student housing in a historic neighborhood. I'm not even going to use the word black. I don't see the improvement for student housing in a neighborhood. Yes, y'all, people has been saying, well, we can't discriminate, and if somebody with a single family want to buy the houses, I don't see it. I live there. I don't think nobody, and it's no reflection on the students. I don't see one person that got a family that want to be surrounded by students living in the neighborhood. It causes issues. I've been a student. My children been students. And they had more complaints about noise because their college was also in a neighborhood. So it's a noise issue. It's a parking issue. It may not look like it to you because you don't live there, but it's going to be a parking issue. I already know this. So, and I know I done talked a long time. So, the neighbor this person that sent this email wants to continue because she wants to sell her property. The ones of us that left, we just want to save what's left of that neighborhood. I have white neighbors directly across the street from me. They feel the same way. I have black neighbors that live adjacent to me and in that same neighborhood. They feel the same way. They voice their opinion. Now, when they started building the houses, when the property was sold, they did start off building single-family homes. They did. They're on Fraser Street. It's about 6 of them. So now, everybody, and students stay in those houses. We don't have a problem with that because they have an option. They had an option at that time because these other houses was not coming up. So families bought the home. They rented them out to students. I don't think nobody came to city council because they were single-family homes to say, hey, we don't want these single-family homes in our neighborhood simply because students live in them. That was not the case. Yeah, you may shake your head and think that I'm just talking, but I have history on Bragg Avenue and Canton Avenue. Most of all, I got history on William Street. My daddy paid $350 for the property that I stay on now. I have seen my daddy get behind on them $350, so he struggled to pay them $350. So this has a lot of sentimental value to me. I'm not young. I told Ron when he visited me, I said, I can't tell you what my kid's going to do later on down the line, but as long as I got breath in my body, I'm not selling. And I know I have some neighbors that feel the exact same way. So all I'm saying is, I'm with both of them, the people that own property, is that we don't take this ADDU and make it conditional. Because the only thing from the mayor today said it's not going to not allow the ADDU. It's just there's going to be, in other words, some stipulations. And those stipulations may be fencing. Yeah, you can build it. You can build a house, but we require that you put a fence around it. It's not going to change what it is. So I just want to say, I'm not trying to condemn anyone from selling or buying, but the ones of us that's left, except this one lady that sent an email today, and I only see financial gain. At the end of the day, 10 years later, If I die, I can see my kids. It's all about finance. And if they want to sell, they can sell. I'm not selling. And we all made a pact that we was not going to sell our property. We want to hold on to what's left there. So I just want everybody to consider, and I've said this over and over on this council, that I have a personal interest in this. I've lived in Auburn 58 years. I've always lived in Ward 1. So I have a personal interest. I can't even see at this point if I sold that y'all would give me enough money to move. And I stay in a mobile home. I'm not ashamed of it. I stay in a double wide mobile home, but I'm just as proud of it because you know what? My daddy bought me that too. So I just want to say that I don't want to see this turn into the rest of it. You've already got the permit? Hey, Bill. Going forward, I'm just asking you, if you do consider building, can you please build some single-family home? It's still staying in the housing. Oh, well, we don't have a problem with that. I don't see a person paying $350,000 for a house that don't have a master bedroom, not a family. I wouldn't. So that's my take on it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the council? Any comments or questions for staff or whoever?
I know there's been a lot of conversation about this housing type being student housing or student driven. Have we got, I know very beginning when we were sworn in, you got a student housing task force. Is this an issue that needs to be, is this something you want to vet through the task force? Do we want to get opinion? Because I know you've got a lot of stakeholders in that task force. I know we've got two on the council right now, but they may have talked about it in their meetings so far. But there's just been a lot of focus here on this building type being student driven. To me, it seemed it would be a good prerogative to get some sort of opinion from the task force created.
Well, the task force has had a couple meetings. There's been some focus groups held on campus with some college students that we'll get a report on soon. We got another meeting next week, and I should have announced that earlier on the 10th. And Kevin's going to kind of finish walking through the Dana report with us. Obviously, we're talking about student housing in its purest form here tonight is what it is. And so, yes, I think eventually the Student Housing Task Force is going to have to consider that these are part of the modern Auburn. These are properties that today's students do want to live in. They seem to be desirable, and I don't think that's going away. And so it will have to be thrown into the considerations, and I'm not even sure what those considerations are. I'm just, my impetus to creating this task force was to make sure that we had a good path to take for the future of Auburn within student housing, and that we were making good decisions on behalf of Auburn's future. We're not informed or have met or vetted or debated or done any of that to the point where we're ready to make any type of determinations or offer this council or offer this community anything to consider, and I'm not even sure we'll have anything to consider. But we're at least going to be informed that we know exactly what's going on. So that's a long-winded way of saying yes, but but I would think that that's going to be so many months and weeks down the line that delaying what this is tonight would not be the responsible thing on behalf of this committee to do that. That's my sense. I don't, if Tommy or Jay would like to comment on that.
It was mentioned today. We had in our report from the student, or from the facilitators of the student input sessions, the ADDU ordinance was specifically discussed and asked about in our meeting when trying to qualify or classify the various housing types, and actually the how these ADDUs could impact those numbers on just what we're looking at being developed in town, not just our high rises that we see downtown, but just these sort of things. I would agree with Ron, that we're probably not as close to getting any kind of resolution from that committee or task force for this specifically, but I think it's definitely something they're going to have to look at and review and roll into their findings and go from there. I'll go ahead and maybe jump in since I'm speaking.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Brett, you may not have been finished.
Well, the main thing is I just want to make sure we're not putting the cart before the horse. I know that we're trying to be good stewards for the city and also to make sure we're identifying all stakeholders. And I would hate for us to get into a position where we take a vote on an issue that we've definitely deliberated on a good amount of time. You can see on the calendar as we've pushed this. But it's a very, from the public input we've received, it's a very passionate position on both sides. And so that's why I bring that up, because you would know best, you and Chief Dawson would know best as to, do we need to vet it more? And are we putting the cart before the horse with not having that aspect analyzed?
Well, and it may not be a popular opinion up here, but I wonder the same questions. Mr. Pilot brought up a few valid points, and we may agree on more than you realize, but the two most glaring points I would agree with you tonight is it's a very complicated issue, with a lot of opinions, and not everyone's going to be happy, with our eventual solution. I wonder if we may have shot ourselves in the foot by trying to compromise, or go back too many times from the original ordinance. I don't really think that, but I'm just, honestly muddied the water. And we haven't even talked about parking spaces and the difference in what that's going to, how that's going to look and affect what we're doing here tonight. I think that, like I say, it may not be popular up here, but I wouldn't mind, and I'll make a motion to actually table this and push it down the road just a little bit further till next week, even next meeting, to look at some of these changes a little more specifically, and how it affects RDD, throughout the city and in areas that aren't necessarily hot topics right now. But that's just my thought.
And Jay, I think that's a good point too. Just looking at the map we're looking at up here on the screens, is conversation has been, and I am in no way downgrading the concerns of that area of the community, but we've not even addressed other areas that this would be permitted or conditional. I mean, we've not heard really from anyone on Opelika Road or other areas. So that's my concern. I just want to make sure I'm making a wise decision. And then saying that and doing that, I would support, I second your motion to table this, to get some more time. And just because I think it's our duty to fully deliberate on the issue.
Well, before we
Hold on just one second, Bob. Since we haven't, just one second. So there's a motion and a second, Jim. Do we need to accept that and deal with that now, or can we continue to have discussion and come back to that when we get ready to vote?
I think you can have the motion to table in a second. You can probably have some discussion on the tabling, but you do have to,
We will have to deal with
If
it.
you really want the motion to table and you really want the second, then you do have to deal with that.
Okay, go ahead.
And I was just saying, I think my understanding of Robert's Rules of Order, that there's no more deliberation until.
Right. There's no more deliberation except for whether you want to table it or not.
Okay, so the discussion now would be whether we're going to table this or not.
Right.
All right, so that's what the discussion has to be, because we have a motion to table in a second. So does anybody on the council have any further comments regarding tabling this evening? I'm sorry, Bob, you didn't mean to interrupt. You might have some comments on that.
Well, I had other comments,
Okay.
but I believe that I can't speak on those comments now.
We have to
We're just
deal with the
dealing with
tabling.
the tabling of it.
Right.
We're just dealing with the tabling. Anyone else on the council?
And you are tabling it to, or the motion is to table it to when?
Our next meeting.
For 2 weeks.
Right.
It's okay.
And we are tabling it for what reason? I'm sorry, maybe I missed something. To get more clarification
I'll let Jay and
Other
Brett
areas
answer that question.
that it may affect in the long run?
Right.
Okay.
And our changes, whether or not we're going to, how I feel about the parking changes and the new conditional uses. So the three amendments, I'd like to vet more.
Is there any way that Mayor, that we could get some sort of feedback from the task force as to the proposal? I mean, and I don't know if that can be streamlined or presented now. It sounds 2 weeks is probably pretty short to get that, but I would imagine those that you've selected for that task force are probably got an opinion on this, that they'd be happy to.
We do have a meeting set next week. And we can add this as part of our work plan, that meeting, if we need to. I certainly haven't given that any thought about how we offer that to the task force, but that's not an unreasonable request. That's not an unreasonable objective, I wouldn't think.
I don't think the task force is going to be able to tell you much on this, Mayor. I mean, it's,
You know?
no, I don't see where it's going, the task force is not going to accomplish anything on this particular thing. We got to make a decision, and I'm ready to make a decision, but if y'all want to table it, we'll table it. But, I think it's pretty simple.
I was going to give it my best effort to try to.
I don't think
to
task
educate
force.
them, but I hear what you're saying, Tom.
I don't think it's something we need to ask task force about. I don't think that's. Task force is to see if we've overbuilt apartments and where we look at in the future of the city and how it's going to affect the next 10 years if we're overbuilt or not. It's not determining something like this, I don't feel like. I appreciate what Brett's opinion, and I know what he's trying to do, but I don't think the task force is going to be able to tell you anything on something like this.
Do you anticipate the task force is going to make proposals on changes to zoning ordinances?
I don't see that happening.
I can't go there. I don't know.
Okay.
We're not far enough along to give you.
And I think the issue for the task force, and Mayor, correct me if I'm wrong, the reason it's created is to see where we're at in Auburn on apartments built, where we overbuilt or not overbuilt, or what we got room for, what the university's going to do in the next 5-10 years, what the city's going to do, what we need to do to make sure we keep the city like we need to keep it.
Exactly right, Tom.
Yeah, I agree with Chief Dawson. I don't really see any benefit of delaying this any further, particularly if during the course of our deliberations we're going to address each of the issues that are still outstanding, these 4 issues, and then in fact, if anybody has any additional changes. But I don't see any sense in dragging this out any further.
Anybody else regarding tabling this have a comment or thought? So Jim, would we do that by voice or is that by motion?
Just voice vote.
Voice vote?
If you don't have a majority, then you can ask for some way, hands or.
Okay. So the vote would be if you're in favor of tabling this until the April 16th meeting. Okay. So if you're in favor of tabling this, you would say yes. Okay. If you're not in favor, say nay. Okay.
Oh, just all in favor, say aye.
Huh?
It would be all in favor, say aye.
Oh, okay, so we're not doing it by voice. I misunderstood you.
No, yeah, at separate times.
All right, I'm not following you, Jim. I apologize, man.
By voice, just say all in favor, say aye.
Okay, all right, here we go. All right, so all in favor of tabling this until April 16th, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
All right, the nays. All right, so let's continue to move ahead with our general discussion here this evening. And Bob, I believe you have the table.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let me just regroup. I'm a social justice guy. I'm a social justice guy. I'm going to be attracted to the little guy every single time. I am. And what is sadly lacking in this conversation is the humanity of it. And the ones with the least are the ones that I embrace. So that's pretty much where I'm at. I'm ready to move forward with a decision on this.
Thank you, Bob. Anyone else on the council has anything they'd like to comment or say?
This is deliberation on the...
Yes, you got it, Ken.
All right.
Yep, thank you.
Okay. I'd like procedurally to know how we're going to do this. Are we going to address it as written with the 4 caveats that you've got in the summary? Or do we need to discuss each of those separately? I mean, I think we need to discuss them separately, frankly.
Absolutely. So the thought was Jim and I and Kevin met this afternoon to talk about this, is that we would offer the amendments to begin with, right? And we would offer the amendments and discuss them individually to begin with before we voted on the whole ordinance. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I mean, you have the option. You do have the option of voting on the ordinance as is without amendments.
We could do that.
We have the
yes.
amendments that have been presented. If you want to incorporate those into the ordinance that you want to eventually pass, it would be good to talk about the amendments first, and then at some point make a motion to pass it with the amendments.
Okay, so Kelly, I think we're continuing our deliberations, and then I will ask if there's any amendments. Would anybody like to offer any amendments, and then we'll deal with those one by one.
And for clarification, looking at the map, the things to the west of College Street is NRD as we speak today. Is that correct? The Canton, Fraser, that whole area is NRD?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and the things to the east of College, all the way up Opelika Road is RDD for the time being. Is that right? Or currently?
Are you talking about everything in pink?
Oh, the area in pink, Kelly?
Yes, all the area in pink.
There's also CRD.
Okay, what's where is CRD and what is it?
We've got a CRD suburban and CRD urban. Those were both created as part of the new Opelika Road implementation. So
Okay.
most of what you're going to see along Opelika Road is either going to be CRDU or CRDS. There is also RDD in there. That property that's between College and Gay, just on the north side of Mitcham, that's RDD.
Okay.
So got a few different districts in there to deal with, but it's pretty much, you got the NRD west of College, and then everything else is going to be RDD, CRDS, or CRDU. Most of the stuff that runs up along Gay, for example, is RDD, get north of Drake.
And is it fair to say that your definition of ADDUs is not more specific? For example, each bedroom has to be no more than, say, 10 by 10 or something. You know, if somebody were to come in and say, okay, well, mine's going to be 10.1 or 9.9.
It's vague by design, because then you'd actually be prescribing sizes of bedrooms, for example, and that's something, that's what we wouldn't want to do. You inherently need to have some type of interpretive ability and flexibility in the ordinance, and the same holds true with private dorms. And like I've said before, I think it's been working pretty well for the past 3 years.
Well, and I agree with you on that. I think there'd be too many opportunities for loopholes if we tried to put a specific number on size or whatnot on each of these structures. So you and I don't agree all the time, or very often, frankly, but I agree with your definitions, because they are basically miniature private dorms is what we're looking at.
Yes, sir. Single unit variety, that's right.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments, thoughts from the council?
What's the average property value over in the area that we've concentrated on this evening? Prior to Ken had mentioned that this has been zoned RDD for 30-plus years. What's the average value been over there? 30,000?
I couldn't answer that question.
50,000?
I couldn't answer the question.
I mean, do we have an idea of what the property has been resold for, the people who've been holding on to these properties for 30-plus years?
In planning, we actually try to remove value out of the equation, to be quite honest.
Is it fair to say that if we make a decision and restrict these ADD units, that it's going to have a dramatic impact on the value of the property?
I don't know the answer to that.
Two of my concerns of this, maybe you can help me with this, Forrest. Number one, I'm also for the poor person more often than I am, because I come from poor background myself. I know what it's like to struggle. So therefore, I could have a hard time voting for somebody over there couldn't sell their property when they finally get a chance to make some money on it and better themselves. I have a hard time voting against something where you inherit some property, and in your lifetime you get a chance to sell it and better your family and make a better living for your entire family. I hate to restrict it and say you can't do it. I just don't think that's fair. And then secondly, I have a problem with the developers have been told one thing one time, then we change it in midstream. I just don't think we can legally say you just cut it off right now. I mean, when it's
all this is doing, and
that's what I mean.
And this may be getting lost in the discussion, is that we're not regulating where students can live. We're regulating what type of house you can build. All we're trying to do is build something that a true single family would potentially see attractive to live in. What's being built out there is nothing that any single family, a wife and husband, 2, 3 kids, it's not going to meet their needs. So I just don't want the issue to get jumbled. That's really what we're regulating. The 5 unrelateds, you can build a single family residence all day long in that NRD and 5 students can live in it. But the concern that we have as a department, and I think we should have as a city, is continuing to build a plethora of product that only students are going to find attractive to live in.
Thank you, Forrest. Okay. Anyone else on the council?
How much of the neighborhood is left to Connie?
Well, on Canton, I think there's about 5 property owners. And on William Street, where I live at, you say 3?
3. Well, there's one property owner on campus. The rest are, excuse me, one is unlivable. There's one that rents out a duplex, and then there's 2 ladies that
40% of our property is still available. And I'm one of those property owners. My engineer's the other, Mrs. Taylor, and there's others. There's enough of the neighborhood left there to preserve what we have.
Thank you. Let's keep going, Connie, if you would.
And all I'm saying is, Mr. Jackson is right. Even on my street, there's none of these ADDUs or student, on William Street. But, I'm not saying.
Let's let the council just talk right now if we can. I'm sorry.
Okay, so, I'm just, I have no issue. There's another mobile home on the street that's occupied, double wide just like mine's, that's occupied by students. Nobody came to the council and fought that. So, but to answer your question, because I get teared up when I think about this stuff, but it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 houses on William Street. William Street is really an alley. It's a dead-end street. On Frazier, there may be about 8 or 9 houses that's left over there. I don't know what's left going around the corner on, what is that area? Yeah, Grant and Torber. I really don't know what's left over there. But I would say probably about 15 houses.
My whole thing, I just hate to pass something that's going to restrict somebody from making money off their property. And I know how people say you shouldn't be allowed to do it, but I just feel like if you own a piece of property, you ought to be able to sell and get top dollar for it, especially when other people in the neighborhood have done the same thing. That's my hang up. I just have trouble voting for anything that's going to restrict somebody's ability to make money on their lot or their property. I got a problem with that.
Well,
Go ahead.
okay, the only thing I want to say on that, Tommy, is, like I said, we had a community meeting with the people that's left in the neighborhood. Okay, they want to still live there. That includes maybe 2, vacant houses there, but that's included. If it was a money thing with me, I'd say mine to go on. But these people been here. My neighbor, she been on that street. I'm 58 years old, so she got to been there about 65 or 70 years. She's about 74, 75 years old. So she married young, but I know y'all doing the math. But the thing about it is, I really don't think that she wants to sell, and I think that if I sell, I think the rest of them gonna sell, and I plan on not selling. So I don't think nobody just really in a hurry for $1. Like I said, the kids may be later on down the line, and if they get a few pennies for it, I held on to it. That's all I got to say. I held on to it. It was left to me. It wasn't left to them. I'm just leaving it to them.
Connie, with that as a consideration or a thought, if this were to be allowed conditionally, then if you don't ever want to sell, you don't ever have to sell. But then if your children wanted to sell it one day, then they would be allowed to sell it and potentially have redevelopment there. I mean, how do you feel about that scenario?
If they wanted to sell, well, I've actually talked to them, and I think right now they're on my side because I'm still living. So they feel the same way now. And we talked about that, Ron. Once I'm dead and gone, my head cold, I don't know what they're thinking and what they're going to tell the developers when they come out there. And they might say, hey, yeah, give me $1,500. I'm gone. I don't know. But at this point, I just don't think from what they say, and I don't believe them, but they're not going to, they're not going to sell now because they can't. And I plan on living at least another 30 years. So.
Thank you, Connie. Stephen?
I had a question. I've spoken to a lot of people around this area, and I really do view this as a compromise for developers and the property owners. This doesn't, I've spoken to Forrest earlier today, and one of the questions I asked him was, there's a large area that is conditional, and from my understanding, this doesn't prevent a developer from buying a property, say, on Canton Street or William Street, that there would be a contingency. They could make a contingency with the property owner until all of this is figured out. Is that correct? So a property owner...
Yeah, I was just saying that it's fairly common that a developer, for example, is not going to make an investment unless they're assured that they can do what they want to do, which means in this particular case, it could be the contract's contingent upon approval of the use, which would be the conditional use process.
Right, so the developer could go through the process and find out, and so the contract would be...
Right,
it wouldn't go...
Right, if they had that contingency in place.
Okay, so that's the main thing I wanted to clear up, is just the property still could be sold at a fair value.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, no comments. All right, anybody else from the council? Thank you, Steve.
I think the displacement of a minority community is a shame, and we in selling, if they do have the opportunity to sell some of these folks in these neighborhoods to recoup money in which they could then live in this city is pretty much out of the question. So we lose a section of our community that makes us all the better. And I can't speak about the economics. I own one house. That's all I have. I don't invest money in anything other than that I have a 40-hour-a-week job. This whole idea that somebody's got to make a buck and then move to Lochapoka or Opelika, it's all well and good, and they can do that, but it's to our loss as a city. It's a shame to not have a variety of people living in a town. It's a shame to homogenize a town so that we're all white and successful.
We're all what?
White and successful.
Where's that even coming from? Oh, my goodness.
It's pretty clear.
I don't
white
think it's clear at all.
and successful.
That's about ridiculous.
Good enough.
Very offensive to me.
He offended.
Anyone else on the council?
Ridiculous.
Yeah, Forrest, I'd like to know how we stand on permits and work, permits that are already in process for that area to the east of College. I mean, I know how many permits or different properties are?
I don't have that data with me. I know the ones that have obviously been approved. What I can tell you is that we don't have any in the hopper at this juncture.
None.
Yeah, I did know that the activity slowed down in recent weeks.
Okay, so the ones that are either built or currently under construction are the only ones that we can anticipate in the near future, in the immediate future, rather. So if we were to make that a change this evening, then we're not affecting anybody who's already under work.
Yeah, right. we have a lot that have been permitted that haven't necessarily come out of the ground yet, but there's no question that the ground zero, if you will, is that Fraser Canton area. We're seeing some that are kind of on a lot by lot basis up in Ross and areas like that, but nothing comparable to what's gone on in that particular area of town.
I'm sorry. So you said there are some permitted that haven't come out of the ground, permitted in that Canton-Fraser area? Not there? Or just in the RDD and
that I just couldn't tell you. We have done some mapping. I just don't have those. I don't have those with me tonight.
All right. Thanks.
All right. Anyone? Kelly, you threw your questions. I'm sorry. You done?
I am finished with those questions. Yes.
Right.
Thank you.
Anyone else on the council?
We're making these conditional in NRD and RDD, right? I mean, so they're still, even if they come up 2 months from now.
Well, yeah, that's where we kind of get into the nuances of some possible what I'd call decision points. The NRD is initially recommended by staff and acted on by the Planning Commission. These were not permitted in NRD, period. So that's the Fraser Canton area we've been talking about a lot. The staff recommendation in RDD was for it to be conditional. You've heard from several members of the development community that they would like it to be permitted in RDD. The parking, the recommendation from Planning Commission was 1.1. There's been some discussion about the prospect of lowering that to 1 space per bed. So those are the decision points. And the other thing I would like to add is, and this is important, is that depending on what you decide to do with the NRD, if you make it conditional, I want to make sure that it's clear that that recommendation would be east of North Donahue only, and the same for RDD as well, because the Corodino property has been a point of contention, and quite frankly, there's some concern there from a planning and neighborhood integrity perspective.
So properties that are zoned the same east and west of Donahue would have different use.
Yeah, now the NRD
Could possibly have different.
The NRD has a different occupancy allowance as well, depending on what side of Donahue you're on. One of the major themes and emphasis of the Northwest Auburn Neighborhood Plan was to preclude the proliferation of student housing in Northwest Auburn as defined by that study area. And so a number of steps were taken as part of the planning process and then following up with ordinance to do that. So we want to make sure that as we deal with other matters, we continue to be vigilant about that commitment that was made through that planning process, that the city is not going to allow the continued proliferation of student housing in Northwest Auburn. And so some of those adjustments are designed to do just that.
Okay. Questions, comments?
We're going to address each of those things, and I have an additional one I would like us to consider.
Sure. Okay. So, are we ready to move ahead, council? Everybody good? Got your questions? We're probably going to generate some more questions here. So you've got the ordinance as it says right here. I will offer these one by one as amendments. We will vote on these one by one, and Jim will vote on these by let's get this right, voice vote. So we'll roll call. Is that correct, or we'll do it by? I know for the ordinance we're going to do that by roll call. Correct? The whole entire ordinance.
It can be up to you on the amendments how you want them to be voted on, whether it's roll call or
all right, but once we get to approving the entire ordinance, we'll do that by
roll call.
By roll call.
And a sign of affirmative or negative on an amendment does not constitute an affirmative or a negative on the whole ordinance. Thank you.
Yep. Okay. So let me go through these and y'all all join in here, so help me out on this. So the first one was the parking. So currently the ordinance states that the parking is 1.1 per bedroom. The amendment would be that reduce the parking requirements from 1.1 to 1 space per bed. Okay? So 1.1 to 1 space per bed. So are there any questions or comments on that? Okay? Seeing none. Do I have a motion on that amendment?
So moved.
All right, we have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion is second. All right. So when I ask who all in favor, please say aye. You're saying you are in favor of moving that requirement from 1.1 to 1. Okay? Everybody good with that? All right. So all in favor of this amendment, reducing the parking requirements from 1.1 to 1, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
All right, let's do. You want to do hands? All right, so all in favor of reducing the parking requirement from 1.1 to 1, please raise your right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. All right. All opposed reducing the parking requirements from 1.1 to 1, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. All right. So that fails.
So it's that if it was approved, 1.1.
So if we approve the ordinance tonight, the parking would be 1.1. Okay. The second one. Allow ADDUs by right in the RDD. So when you look at your map, the pink area is RDD, and the amendment would be to allow ADDUs by right, not conditional, but by right.
And I just need to add to that, east of North Donahue only.
East of North Donahue. Thank you, Forrest, for that clarification. So allow ADDUs by right east of North Donahue. Okay? By right. According to the map, they're conditional. According to the ordinance we will be voting on tonight, the RDD area would be conditional. This amendment says that they would be allowed by right.
In RDD?
In RDD only.
East of?
East of Donahue. Am I correct on that? Help me out on this.
Yes, that's correct.
I just want to make sure.
You all want more clarification, just for the record?
Sure. No, that's why we're doing. So that's the amendment. So do we have any questions on that? Please ask those questions now. I know some of you have confused looks on your face, and that's all right.
Everything in the pink, Mayor?
Everything in the pink east of Donahue. So all that in the pink is east of Donahue, yeah.
By right in the pink.
By right in the pink as opposed to being conditional.
So the map that we're looking at.
Now, that's not entirely correct.
Okay, sorry about that. Thank you for correcting.
You've got multiple districts that are recommended for it to be conditional. And RDD, CRDU, and CRDS. CRDU and CRDS are not being debated. Everyone's, to my knowledge, that's basically along Opelika Road. RDD is the area that's closer into the core, where we've had folks express to us they would like they'd like ADDUs to be permitted by right in RDD.
So now, the map doesn't show that.
That map does not draw distinctions between where the RDD and CRDU and CRDS is, but the CRDU and CRDS is largely going to be along Opelika Road. RDD is going to be west of Opelika Road and up along North Gay.
But we're talking about the entire RDD in the city, not just in this focus area. So there are RDDs outside the perimeter.
We've, for many different reasons, we've been incrementally getting rid of RDD, and so there's really not a whole lot left other than what you've got in the Harper Avenue focus area study, and we're recommending at the next case that a lot of that change to a new district. And then, of course, what I mentioned, you've still got a fair amount of RDD up along North Gay, between Gay and College, and on the east side of North Gay, and up in that area where Ross Park and those types of student housing developments already exist. And then those two pockets of RDD that we talked about in northwest Auburn proper, where the housing authority is up off of North Donahue, and then of course the Cordino property, which has been discussed extensively in recent months.
That wouldn't be allowed by right. That's everything west of Donahue, right?
That's correct. Those would not be based on what's being recommended.
Do we have a map of that area that we can look at?
Of the
RDD area? Yeah. It's going to be hard for me to vote on something if I can't look at what
I agree.
Voting on.
myself. That's right.
You got it to see.
This is a shit show. What is it?
The red is what is changing. I know, but I mean. That's why you gotta do those settings.
Okay, can everybody, can you tell where we are on there? Okay. So, basically what you're seeing in the pink, what I would describe as pink, is the RDD. And what you're seeing in the...
Forrest, I hate to be cynical, but, I mean, we've got pink and we've got lavender and we've got...
There's lots of
dark
pink.
and
Magenta.
Well, lavender's, now I know lavender's going to be the CRDS.
Trying to be a little humorous here late in the evening, so...
Is it possible to
I mean, it's
project
beautiful,
this?
but we just,
It's a pretty map.
yeah.
Is it possible to project this so that everybody knows what we're talking about?
That's a good point.
Okay, you following the arrow?
Yes.
That's all RDD.
Again, is it possible to project this?
On a front screen and they're bringing the picture.
So it's,
Thank you.
when I used to be in the clothing business, that would be called baby pink, real light pink.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, thank you.
Why not?
All right.
All right.
Can you hear me okay? I'm Michaelis. So here's RDD. Then we come down around here. All this is also RDD, it just has a PDD overlay. This is Ross Park.
Okay.
And then I know we talked a little bit about the piece that's in the historic district here, which is also RDD. And then again, you've got CRDU up along both sides of Opelika Road. Here's the gay intersection with Opelika Road and going out to essentially DeKalb. And then when we get to DeKalb, we change over to CRDS, which then takes us all the way out Opelika Road to the city limits. So those would be the three districts that would be that we're talking about on that side of town.
Okay. So the amendment should actually read, allow ADDUs by right in the RDD and the CRDU, correct?
No. What the staff has recommended that ADDUs be allowed by conditional use approval in RDD east of North Donahue. What has been requested by others is that ADDUs be permitted by right in RDD east of North Donahue.
Okay, all right. So
By others, but not by this council.
right. And so the RDDU east of Donahue would be the area in the lighter pink.
Yes, that's right. Going up and down, all the way up along North Gay on both sides, almost up to, basically bumping right up against that NC area. If you see the brown as you move up toward Gay and Shelton Mill,
Right.
those are neighborhood conservation areas, and that's where the RDD stops.
I got you. Okay. All right. Any questions or comments on that from the council? Any thoughts?
What are we voting on?
We're voting on the staff's proposal, correct? That it be conditional.
The amendment is it's permitted. The staff's proposal is conditional. The way the ordinance is written is it's conditional.
That's
but
correct.
We're talking about an amendment that would allow it to be permitted.
That's right.
Is that clear as mud for everybody?
East of North Donahue Drive.
East of North Donahue Drive, yes. Yes. So any thoughts or questions on that? Is everybody clear on what we're talking about? I don't want anybody to vote on something they don't understand. Does everybody understand what it is? You want Forrest to point at it again or talk?
There is no RDD, as I see it, if I'm looking at the right pink, in that northwest section there, correct? Around the Bragg, the Canton, the White.
That's correct. It was before Northwest Auburn plan was adopted, and then a lot of that changed. That yellow that you're seeing is the NRD. That's the area we've been talking a lot about in the vicinity of Fraser and Canton.
Gotcha.
And then there's a corridor redevelopment west district that is the purple that would be west of College, essentially along Bragg and down Martin Luther King.
Thank you. Any other questions? Is everybody clear? Does anybody need more time? Okay, so the amendment is allow ADDUs by right in the RDD east of North Donahue Drive. Correct, Forrest?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So do I have a motion for that?
Move for approval.
Move for approval. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. We have a motion second. All right. All in favor of allowing ADDUs by right in the RDD, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
All right, we're going to do this by hand. All in favor of allowing ADDUs by right in the RDD east of North Donahue Drive, please raise your hand. How many you got, Lindsay? How many do you have? Okay. All opposed, please raise your hand. So 3, right? So that passes. Okay. All right. Is everybody good with that? Does everybody understand what we did? Okay. All right. So, third one. Allow ADDUs by conditional use in the NRD east of Donahue. Okay? Allow ADDUs by conditional use in the NRD east of Donahue. This is the section that we've primarily discussed tonight. So what this amendment says is that we would allow the ADDUs to be conditionally approved. That could also mean they could be conditionally not approved, but they would be conditional in this area. Okay? Are there any questions?
As opposed to permitted or as opposed to not allowed?
As opposed to not allowed. Am I correct on that, Forrest and Jim?
You are correct.
Yep. Okay. So what this amendment would be, allow them to be approved conditionally as opposed to what the ordinance says that they're not allowed at all. Okay? All right. Are there any questions or thoughts on this?
We're talking about this area right here, correct? Okay, I just want to make sure I was, yeah.
Forrest, can you pull the map up and let's talk about this exact area we're talking about here? I know you probably got it on here, but
So this,
maybe the former map might be better for this one. I don't know.
The one we were just using is
Okay.
Okay, so the NRD is a little easier to articulate, so you can see the reason why we recommended that the NRD, if you do choose to allow it conditionally, is because we've got an area of NRD that's now in Northwest Auburn, west of North Donahue, where we're trying to preclude student housing. The other area of NRD is, of course, the area that has been the subject of a lot of the ADUs that we've seen thus far, Fraser, Canton, and those environs. Those are the two NRD areas.
So it's basically the yellow right there.
That's correct.
Okay.
So any applicant would go before the planning commission, then have to trickle up to us and eventually make the call.
Yes, sir. If you see fit to allow them an NRD by conditional use approval and as opposed to not permitted.
Goes to planning, then comes to council.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, Forrest. Any other questions, thoughts on this? We've talked about it a lot tonight, but just want to offer that.
Your Honor, I'd like to, Your Honor, I'm in court. Sorry, it's getting late.
It's all right.
There we are. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve permitted by right in NRD, ADDUs.
Second.
Oh, that's not what we're considering the amendment. The amendment is,
But there wasn't a motion, did you?
no, I didn't have a motion on that. I offered an amendment, but there wasn't a motion on that, so they're changing this. So we have a motion by right, which is different than the amendment. Jim, structurally, we're still working okay, logistically? All right.
Yeah, as long as, I guess staff needs to understand.
NRD east of North Donahue.
Right, but I just wanted to make sure it was clear that what had been presented as the alternatives was the original staff recommendation was for it to not be permitted at all. The request from others that we've heard from was that for it to be a conditional use. There wasn't a request for it to be permitted by right in the NRD.
I think there is now. Right?
Fair enough.
Correct? Okay.
Just wanted to make sure that was clear.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. Are there any comments or questions on that?
Can you clarify it just one more time? I'm sorry. I
Go
just
ahead.
want to make sure.
I'm gonna let you say it.
I would like to move for the NRD area to be permitted by right for ADDUs. East of North Donahue. That's what I move. And it was seconded, I believe, by
It
Mr.
was a second. Okay. Any other thoughts or questions, concerns? Okay. All in favor, help me get this right, all in favor of allowing ADDUs by right in the NRD east of Donahue, please say aye.
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 All opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
I think the nays have it. Okay. All right.
Show of hands on that.
Okay, let's do hands, all right? So all in favor of allowing ADDU by right in the NRD east of Donahue, please raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4. All opposed, please raise your hand. That's 5. So 5. All right. So now the original amendment, we'll go back to that, to allow ADDUs by conditional use in the NRD east of Donahue. All right, conditional use NRD east of Donahue. So there's the amendment. I'm offering that amendment for us to consider. All right. Do I have a motion? Is there a second? No motion?
So moved.
All right, we got a motion on that. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. Okay. So we have a motion and a second on allowing ADDUs to be conditionally approved in the NRD east of Donahue. Is everybody clear on that? Does anybody have any questions on that?
As opposed to prohibited.
As opposed to prohibited. Exactly right. Okay. All right. So all in favor of allowing ADDUs by conditional use in the NRD east of Donahue, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say nay.
Nay.
All right, let's do hands. Allow ADDUs by conditional use in the NRD east of Donahue, please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. All opposed, please raise your hand. All right, so that's 5-4. All right. All right, those are the 3 amendments I had on my list to offer this evening. Kelly, I know you've mentioned something earlier, so I want to allow you to have the floor.
I would offer an amendment that says ADDUs shall not be permitted in the North College Historic District or on any parcels that abut the district.
Okay.
So, the reason I'm bringing that up is the map clearly shows property within the only historic district remaining in the city that shows that it's conditional, and I don't think we need to have any possibility whatsoever of the many dorms in or abutting the historic district. So that would encompass the property on Mitcham across from the depot and that would accompany properties along Sanders and Gay, who the backyards of those historic properties, they don't need to be having ADDUs in their backyard.
Forrest, can you identify that for us real quick? I guess you're doing that.
Forrest is pulling up a map that has the exact historic district that they drew up for you.
That's fine.
This has not all been vetted with the citizens.
Correct.
Does this apply to historic property at the corner of Gay and Drake?
Well, let's get the map up, Nick, and hold on just a second.
Has the staff vetted this?
No, this is the first we've heard of it tonight, so we're
We're about to vote on it?
well, we'll just see where we're going with it. Let's stand up for a second, guys.
All right.
Thank y'all for your efforts.
Fortunately, Tom's on my staff, and he's our liaison to the HPC, so
Thank you.
we were able to bring this up just to illustrate the parcels that abut the district. So what you see in blue or outlined in the lighter blue, turquoise or what have you, those are parcels that are in the district. Everything outlined in black would be parcels that would be affected by Councilmember Griswold's motion as they abut. And for definitional purposes, what we define as abutting is either touching or across the right-of-way from. So that gives you a picture of what would be included as far as not being allowed for ADDUs should the motion be approved.
Do we know the legality of what we're about to vote on?
No.
I would move to table this motion until we can get an opinion from our legal counsel.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to table this until we get an opinion from the legal counsel of the city. Are there any questions or thoughts on that from the
Mayor?
I got a question. So
Yeah.
we're tabling this simply because this was not included on the agenda as additional areas?
This is new. I mean, I had a conversation with Mr. Griswold about this earlier this morning. It was a very brief conversation. It wasn't very detailed, I would say. And so, yes, I think the point is this is new information to the council that has not been discussed, deliberated, studied. And certainly, there might be other concerns that we need to evaluate, make sure that we're not treading into difficult territory.
So we're tabling this until?
I'll ask Mr. Dustin, when do you think we could be informed enough to make a decision on this?
Mayor, by tabling this, you may be tabling your whole decision. If you're going to wait on this to make a decision.
But you can always amend an ordinance, correct?
Right.
And ultimately, we're about to, by fiat, in addition to what we're doing with this proposal, we've just added, 30 properties that we're going to have implications on their effects and the value and all of that. We're just going to do that by fly of the night, and that is not responsible governance. So if it needs to be, means put over the ordinance, put over the ordinance. But we don't want to expose this town to any kind of legal action because we're doing something in the middle of at 10 o'clock at night.
I agree with Councilman Smith on that. I just think I just don't think you can do that without talking to legal counsel.
So, Councilman Griswold, I would, I guess, ask to withdraw this amendment.
Mayor, you could act on everything else, pass the ordinance, and then get an opinion of this, and then come back and modify the ordinance.
In the future?
In the future.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, but in the meantime, permits can be dropped on these properties.
Yes. If you, depending on what you do, yes. If you pass this ordinance, then.
Okay. And a clarification of the ones that actually are in the historic district. But for example, the ones straight across Meacham from the depot, they are in the district. Any modifications or adjustments, that has to go before the Historic Preservation Commission.
Yes, sir. Anything that's visible from the right-of-way, any type of improvement.
So really what we're talking about are the ones that are on properties that abut. The permits could be pulled on anything that currently abuts the historic district in the meantime.
Okay, so Jim, what we'll do at this time is we'll do a voice vote on the ordinance with the 3 amendments that we discussed earlier. This will not be considered. How will we formally handle this?
This would have to be considered at a later date if that's the way.
That would be considered at a later date. So how do we do that in the form of a motion?
I'll withdraw my motion.
All right. All right. Then I'll second that. So Mr. Griswold is withdrawing his motion. Is that standard? Is that okay? We've done enough of that? All right. So I believe now at this time, council, is there anybody else that has anything? At this time, we're going to, it's time for us to vote on the ordinance, okay, with the changes, all right? So I don't know how I'm supposed to position this and talk about this.
Well, if we could let Horace kind of reiterate what we understand as the changes that have been recommended.
Everybody listen to this, please. Don't just count on me. Everybody pitch in here.
The changes are that RDD or ADDUs and RDD would be permitted by right, and that ADDUs and NRD be allowed conditionally east of North Donahue, and in RDD as well, east of North Donahue.
And the 1.1.
And the parking we don't talk about because
we don't talk about the parking because it didn't change. The ordinance was advertised at 1.1.
Okay. All right. Is everybody clear on that? Is all the council clear on that? So we talked about 3 amendments, 2 of them passed, 1 of them failed. So this would be, we would approve this ordinance with those 2 amendments in play. Okay? All right. So do I have a motion for that, to approve this ADDU text amendment, academic detached dwelling unit ordinance? Do I have a motion for that?
Move for approval.
All right. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Lindsay, this is a roll call vote.
Dawson?
No, ma'am.
Dixon?
Yes.
Griswold?
Yes.
Ovies?
Yes.
Parsons?
Yes.
Smith?
No.
Taylor?
Yes.
Witten?
No.
Anders?
Yes. Okay.
Under item 9B is a request for approval of the amendments to Article 3, Article 4, Article 5, and Article 6 of the city zoning ordinance to create the corridor redevelopment east and medium-density residential district. The Planning Commission unanimously recommended this for approval. The item was denied unanimous consent at the last regular city council meeting. This is the second reading and a public hearing is required.
Okay. This time I'll open the public hearing. If you'd like to address the council, please come forward and give your name and address for the record. Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Jim, since this is a second reading, are we doing this by roll call?
By roll. Someone needs to make a motion to approve, second, and then you do a roll call.
Do a roll call. We'll do it by roll call. All right. So, do we have any questions for the city manager or Mr. Cotton?
I have one quick question. Sure. Would a property owner who's being affected by this, a lot is being rezoned, or, into this area, would they go before the BZA to request a change out of that, or are they stuck in what we're?
No, they would attain whatever the zoning designation is that's proposed by this ordinance. I will tell you that there were 3 or 4 different cases where we actually met with property owners, and in some cases we recommended adjustments, in other cases we didn't. That was vetted at the planning commission level. But this would rezone. I feel compelled to just make sure you do know that, and it gets a little bit confusing because these were running on, the ADDU was running a little bit ahead of Harper Avenue, and then they caught up with each other. So a lot of Harper Avenue is currently zoned redevelopment district. This proposal takes a lot of that redevelopment district and changes it to medium density residential district, which staff has also recommended that ADDUs be conditional in the MDRD, as we did conditional in the RDD, but the council has seen fit to allow ADDUs and RDD by right. So I just want you to, you need to be made aware of that implication that a lot of what's RDD in the study area is going to change to MDRD and would require conditional use approval for ADDUs in this area. And that may be something you're desirous of doing, in which case you would adopt the ordinance presumably as proposed, or you may want to talk about that.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Forrest. Are there any other comments or questions from the council? Does everybody understand what Forrest just discussed? Okay.
And I know I asked this question in the packet meeting, but whose ward is that? Is that yours, Bragg?
This is mine, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I'm Dixon.
The portion that's south of Glen is, Councilmember Dixon's.
Okay. All right. So do I have a motion?
Move for approval.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. This will be a roll call vote. Lindsay?
Dixon?
Yes.
Griswold?
Yes.
Hovey?
Yes.
Parsons?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Taylor?
Yes.
Horton?
Yes.
Dawson?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Item 9C is a request for approval of the map amendments to the City of Auburn zoning map to reflect the creation of the Corridor Redevelopment East and Medium Density Residential District. The Planning Commission unanimously recommended this for approval. This is the second reading and a public hearing is required.
I'll open the public hearing. If you'd like to address the council, please come forward and give your name and address for the record. Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing. Do I have any questions from the council for Mr. Buston or Mr. Cotton? If not, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, we do have a motion and a second. Lindsay, roll call vote again.
Griswold?
Yes, ma'am.
Hovey?
Yes.
Yes.
Smith?
Yes, ma'am.
Taylor?
Yes.
Whitten?
Yes.
Dawson?
Ma'am.
Dixon?
Yes.
Andrews?
Yes.
We have one item of other business, item number 11A. 11A is the invocation of a entertainment district for several events in April, one being Saturday, August 6th from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m., Monday, April 8th, I meant April 6th, April 8th, from 3 p.m. to 10 p.m., and then having a fundraiser for the Downtown Merchants Association for victims of the tornado, Friday, April 12th, from 12 p.m. to 10 p.m., and also having free parking on April 8th from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m.
So this is a resolution, council, so we'll just, I'll need a motion a second, but before we do that, are there any questions or thoughts? We talked about this in the committee of the whole. If not, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. We have a motion second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Those are all the items we have on the agenda this evening.
At this time, we'll have citizens open forum. This is an opportunity for you, the citizen, to address the council about anything on your mind. You do have 3 minutes to address the council. Please give your name and address for the record.
Lindbergh B. Jackson again, maybe before college. I want to commend the city on the changes that's being made. I attended a work session this morning at the Board of Education concerning the changes at Carywood School, which is kind of right through the woods from my parents' home. I consider that area right in there, there's just a strip of property that my family has owned for right about 100 years there. So that school has been the school for my sister, my grandkids, and others. Drake, I attended for a couple of years by freedom of choice, and then I came over to Auburn Junior High School and enjoyed what I considered one of the greatest schools. Back in the day, Auburn High School was $1 million high school, and me being an African-American guy from Drake High School, I just was fascinated by it. But I'm also more fascinated that I found out today that there's an area in Drake High School that is proposed to be reserved for those former alumni that has graduated from there. And my father and several of my relatives have graduated from there. So it has a lot of history for the community as a whole. And I was just so proud to be able to sit there and hear the plans for Drake, what was middle school. And my father fought so hard to keep Dr. Drake's name on that school so many times. And I'm just proud to say that I'm a citizen of Auburn, that seeing you guys recognize the people of color in Auburn that has helped build the university, helped maintain and built the city, and the school system as a whole. So I just want to commend you guys on doing that. We had a community meeting last night talking about the recreation for Northwest Auburn and things that are happening as far as the cleanup. And I got property that I hadn't given the most due diligence on because I have two parents that are elderly. But we plan to make a change now that changes is coming. But I want to say this about the recreational side. When Mayor Ham and the other council was here, my statement was that in 25 years, very little had been done there. But you guys, I see a change coming. I see a shift, as the Baptist preacher would say. I feel some help coming on from you guys. And I commend you guys for paying attention to the citizens and the vote tonight. That shows that you care. It's not about just the developers. It's about the people that have given blood, sweat, and tears to build this city. And it's not just one race. It's not just one group of people. So I just want to say to you guys, it's never the wrong time to do the right thing. You did that tonight. And I just want to thank you for that. But I want to say the people are now looking. Can I finish?
Wrap it up. Wrap it
Okay.
up.
The people are now looking to the recreational department. They're looking to you guys to follow through with some changes. I hear some talk about a Rosenwald school, which will allow a museum in the area to acknowledge some of the old educators. And some of the people just haven't gotten it because they've been forgotten about for so long. Once you've been beat down, trodden down 300-400 years, and you just can see a glimmer of light, and they see that in you guys. So I say keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
I know it's late and I'm tired. Dana Camp, 142 Plainsman Hills Lane, Auburn. Something that I heard earlier, fire station number 2. Fire station number 2 is our fire station up in Plainsman Hills and beyond, over 280. We're in the city limits of Auburn. The city limits goes another 3 miles north of me. I am the last street that has water, city water. All the other homes up above me, 3 more miles up, do not have city water. Before there's any talk about moving fire stations, adding fire stations, I would hope that the council will keep in touch with those of us who live in the city limits of Auburn above 280. I can tell you right now, fire station number 2 is 6 miles from my home. It is then, therefore, 9 miles from the furthest house up on Insfinger Road, which is over the railroad tracks, a couple of miles from the Chambers County line. So keep that in mind.
Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Julie Garrett,
and I'm from Madison, Wisconsin, so my address is going to sound weird to you guys. But it's 2550 Horde Street, Madison, Wisconsin. I'm a public affairs specialist for the Office of Disaster Assistance with the U.S. Small Business Administration with the office in Atlanta. And I've been here the past 3 weeks working on the tornado recovery. And I brought you guys packets tonight. And I just wanted to tell you briefly where we're at with the disaster assistance for Lee County and for this area. And I know you guys are really tired, so I'll be quick. But as of yesterday morning, they had approved $1,023,000 in loans, and that was 21 approved disaster assistance loans. What we do is we make low-interest loans to homeowners, renters, businesses of all sizes, churches, and nonprofit organizations when there's a disaster. So those are the approved loans so far. There's a lot more in the pipeline. It's just going to take a little while to process them. And if anybody that you know or anybody that you've heard of that might need help whose home was damaged, they can find out more about this at disasterloan.sba.gov. They can call 800-659-2955, or they can go over to Southern Union State Community College, is that right? Yeah. To Technical Classroom 1, Room 5. And we have people over there who will help them put in a loan application or talk with them, and they are there from 8 to 5 p.m. weekdays. And the loans are very low interest with rates as low as 2.063% and terms up to 30 years. And there's no pressure to take these loans. It's just part of the recovery process. So that is my information. I don't know if you have any questions.
Do you have any questions? Thank you for your work. We appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. And you do have that information, and please feel free to share it and to give out my card and information if anybody has questions. Thank you.
Thank you for your work. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? Okay. If not, is there a move to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? Second. We are adjourned. War Eagle.